Oh, it's going. Go live. Going live. You'll have to tell me in chat if you can see me and hear me. It says I'm live. Very strange. Very strange. We might not get the closed captions on. It's changed my settings. The closed caption setting has changed. Me in chat if you can see me in here. Yeah, I can hear myself talking. It says I'm live after 20 seconds. But it also says I've been live for 4 minutes. Very strange, very strange. I think it must just be a technical issue with YouTube. But yeah, we are live. Hi, you're with Scott. I'm the Super Chuffer. This is the Sunday service. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be listening to your messages from the speak pipe. I usually like to vet them in advance, but I haven't had time. Is it playing an advert? It shouldn't be playing an advert. There's no point in talking to people if they can't see me. You're saying hi, you're Scott. I'm going to assume you can see and hear me. It says advert time there from Snips. Snips is saying advert time. I can't understand why it would play an advert. YouTube's just having its own way with me at the moment. It's having its own little way with me. You've got a Superman ad and now me. Oh, wow. Maybe it's in America. You're in America. I don't know why. I don't know why. Anyway, let's hope it's all working. You got 2 adverts as well, Dean. That's what was messing with it then. I pressed go live and instead it played adverts. And I don't tell it to, you know, I tell it, if anything, I'd tell it not to. I allow it to put adverts on. We're monetized, but it asks me, do you want them to play automatically? I say no. So, and it's changed my settings as well. So I apologize if anyone, what am I saying? I apologize if anyone's hard of hearing and can't hear me. Or, now it's asking me again, do you want to play ads? No, I don't. Thank you. No, I don't. It plays ads before it starts live every time. All right, I didn't know that. It's asking me if I want to. It's got a button, which I think I just pressed by mistake. Ooh. I think I might have just pressed that button. Anyway. It's also asking about the Creative Commons captions or whatever. And usually we have them on. Now we've got them off. Quick update, what we're doing. Can we listen to your messages? I don't want there to be 10 minutes of chuff before we get going. We're going to be watching this. Where are the Chris Hansen Predators today? Ooh. Ooh. The old pedo hunter, the old Chris Hansen. There's a video on the internet. Where are the Chris Hansen Predators today? It's an interesting looking video. I'm going to react to that. We're going to listen to your voices. That's the main thing. You've got no ads there. Okay, you're okay. I've got 2. All of a sudden now I've got 2 versions of chat as well. I've got the one I popped out. And I've got YouTube's acting up. YouTube's acting up. A bit of housekeeping before we get started. The cat. I know a lot of you are going to want to know. I'm not making a big thing of it. I'm not here to solicit donations for sympathy. That's not what's happening here. But a lot of people will want to know, so I will tell you. He's been quite poorly in the night, I feel. He's used his litter tray as opposed to going out. And I did lock the door at the end of the night. I did close it because I didn't want him out in the middle of the night at 4 in the morning, worrying me. I rang my mom today because it's Mom's Day. Happy Mother's Day, all you out there, all you mothers, everyone that's missing their mom. You know, I feel for you. My mom's away with her boyfriend today visiting his mom. So I rang her today and I said, I don't know about this cat, you know, but she seems to reassure me that she doesn't think it's at the end yet, quite the end yet. My issues with him, he's got the kidney failure. We talked about it other times, not going on and on about it, but he refusing food now, not happy with any of his food. I'm trying to keep him on the renal stuff, but he's not happy with any of his food. And he went out, he came back in, meowing at me. Just before we got started, he was meowing at me and I thought, what we're going to do? I got him on my lap and I cuddled him and that seems to settle him. He's settled now, he's in his cat bed, settled. I think he just, out of everything he wants, you know, he usually meows for what he wants, doesn't he? And all he really wants is to be around me, be close to me, have a cuddle. As he's drinking, he's had basically like, I give him cats don't usually drink, do they? But the dog has a dog bowl of water and he's had half the dog bowl of water in the last 24 hours. So yeah, he's really drinking. He's on his way, you know, he's on his way. But today's not the day. There's two reasons why he's not the day. One is he doesn't quite seem that bad. You know, not that bad, but he's on his way. And then the other reason it's not his day is because the vet, you know, they're closed and you have to get emergency call out and all that. I really don't want to go through all that on my own. So, unless he was really suffering, which he's not really suffering now, he's settled now. So I think it's just a matter of keeping him comfortable. A lot of you in chat have been giving him different names as well. Sorry, I don't feel offended at all. I call him all these different names. I call him Holmes. I call him Omi. I call him... he sounds a bit like Owen. It's Omar. His name is Omar, and he's a good cat, aren't you, Omar? So yeah, he'll get through today. He'll get through tonight. Mom will be back tomorrow, and we'll assess him. We'll assess him. So that's the cat update. When it happens, I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to go through it with him. I've been through it with pets before, and I don't want you to feel... worried about me. I don't want you to feel like sad. He's had a good life. He was a street cat that we took in from the streets, and now he's had a good life. You know, I don't want you to feel. I don't want to turn this YouTube channel is not about me and my pity and sympathy and pity for me. Whoa, sorry for me. That's not what this channel's for. So I've told you about it now. I'm not going to make a big feature of it on the channel. I don't want to. It's not about my personal life and private life and that. It's just that I feel really uncomfortable. Like, we have donations coming in and stuff. Like, I don't want people to be like, oh, he using his cat for money, you know. But just talk the truth for you. Sorry to hear about that, Uncontrolled Historian. At least it was in your arms, though. You know, cook plain cod for him. I'll try that, maybe. I'll try that. He just seems to be off all his food. Yeah, if you get me talking about it, I won't stop talking about it, and eventually I'll cry. So we're not going to focus on it at the moment. We're going to focus on what we're doing today. So what we are doing today, like I said, is we've got the voice message thing going. Now, I'm going to say that the door is closed now on the voice messages. We've got quite a few. But, you know, if a few come in while we're streaming, I might look at them. Usually I like to review them, don't I? But I'm trusting all of you out there. Trusting all of you that this isn't going to go badly. There's one thing I'd like to say, another little bit of housekeeping before we get started. I had a message. Now, remember, I've been going on about Armchair Detective, the real one. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. Last night, I was on YouTube again. If you look at my channel, which is what you're watching now, you go over to the button where it says channels, and I've got other channels as well. Battery Exhausted is my B-side. It's like my backup B-side channel. It used to be a scrapbook. I used to upload vegan videos. So there's all sorts of different stuff on there. Interesting stuff you might find interesting. Other stuff you might not. Doesn't matter. It's the B-side channel. Yeah. I have to practice at doing things on there. I upload stuff I can't upload anywhere else. It's the B-side channel. And we do some lives. Mainly, recently has been about Dark Side Phil. But I did one or two. I did Nicola Bully CCTV, a review of crime channels, where I laid into some of those crime channels. And then last night we were looking at the CCTV again. So you're going to want to watch that at some point. It's really problematic, like incredibly problematic, the CCTV. We might get into it today at the end of today's episode, depending on how the Sunday service goes. Chuffer, how do I sponsor you for a year of paying YouTube Prime? Stop ads for me. I appreciate that, B. Kletjog. If you gave me the money for YouTube Prime today, I wouldn't spend it on YouTube Prime, so I'm not going to ask you for it, because I've got other things in priorities that I think are more important. But I appreciate it's not good to have the ads on, but it's very expensive for YouTube Prime. I can't afford it, and there are other things that I need to afford ahead of it. When we get there, and we will get there, I'm so grateful to all of you for all your tippies and stuff, you know. We're getting there. When we get there, I will pay for it out of my business account, you know, out of my business expenses, but we're not quite there yet. It doesn't seem like the right move right now for the size of my channel and all this. But yeah, so we were looking at this CCTV. One thing I wanted to bring up was that I laid into these true crime channels, especially Armchair Detective, the real one, because, and you know, not without repeating myself over and over, they uploaded a video that I edited and created as such. I didn't create it, but can I go to this video? Yeah. So this video here on the look, it's got an advert on it. This is Armchair Detective's channel, so I assume it's monetized. Their channel is monetized. This is the Paul Ansel interview from Channel 5 in full. It says Ganji across the top. You can see the same blue and white across the top now of my stream, Ganji, because I rip things and upload them to YouTube sometimes, and I upload Send Trees, is where I upload stuff like this. It's Channel 5's copyright, so I don't want to get copyright strikes on my channel. So what I did was I took the Channel 5 program, I edited out all the bits in the middle, edited together all the Paul Ansell stuff, put it on Sentries. Sentries is responsible. At the top of this, it says Ganji. At the top, you can see it.
Raining again. I couldn't
Thank you for the tippies and Control Historian. Thank you for the tippies. What we're doing today is I'm going to try and finish my thought, and then I'll move to your tippies in just a second, instead of allowing myself to get completely distracted, which is what I sometimes do, but I appreciate it. We'll check them in just a second. See, it says Ganji at the top there. Right, that's my background in my stream. So what's happened is that I've uploaded it to Sentries, yeah, and then Chuffy Chuffington on... Where was the video? Where did I put it? Oh, here it is, Armchair Detective, yeah. And then Armchair Detective has downloaded that off Sentries or screen recorded it and then uploaded it to their channel. Really wrong thing to do, really rotten. Really rotten. You know, not used the video, watched it, referred to it, talked about it, but just skanked it off YouTube, uploaded it to their channel. So that's really wrong. That's the wrong thing to do. Should have been reprimanded for it in some way, but I can't copyright strike them for two reasons. One, Sentries is too small a channel. That Sentries channel is too small. They don't have the facility to copyright strike. So, two, I wouldn't. I don't bother throwing around copyright strikes. I'm not that sort of chuffer. And three, it's Channel 5 that did the interview. I wrote it there, Paul Ansell, Channel 5 interview, and dated it. They own the copyright to that, Channel 5. And if they came after Sentries, they'd have to take it down. So what he's done there is really wrong, yeah? He's uploaded that to the channel, ripped it off me. I did the hard work of downloading it, editing it, re-uploading it. He's ripped it off. Didn't even credit yet, not even a credit. But I know he's done it because he's stupid and he's left that Ganji at the top. He's not very clever. He's a bit thick and he's left that Ganji at the top. So we all know he's done that. Yeah, and I actually put I put, do you monetize this video? I recorded it off Channel 5. I edited and Sentries uploaded it. You stole it and uploaded it here. It has my stream background at the top of the video. If you made money off this, I'd rather you give it to charity and maybe consider taking this copy of the video down. It seems like a bit of a chief move to rip this edit from someone else and upload it here. I mean, you've made, how much money is that? 13,000 views. If you get £2 for 1,000 views, that could be about 20 something pounds. It's not a lot of money. If you get more, it could be more. I don't know exactly how much money it is, but please give that to charity. Please don't steal the money out of my work, out of Channel 5's work. Please don't steal the money off us. You know, please upload your own content and give that money to charity. Look what he's replied, the chuffer. Like, this is just, like, what's this? He hasn't put sorry, he's put SY, because he's too, I don't know what he is. He couldn't write the word sorry. Couldn't bring himself to write the word sorry, but I think that means sorry. Sigh. Sorry, mate, I'm not your mate. Thought it was Channel 4. Sigh, mate, thought it was Channel 4. What does that even mean? Well, you didn't think it came from Channel 4 because it says Channel 5 on it. You didn't think Sentries was Channel 4. It's irrelevant which channel it was on. So yeah, I don't know what he's doing, don't know what he's tripping about, but the reason he wrote that 9 hours ago, please note, you know, he wrote that 9 hours ago. Why did he do it 9 hours ago? Streamed 12 hours ago. Nicola Bully, CCTV, fixed more problems, late night live. So he's had a chance to watch this. And in this, if you see my own watermarks, because now I have to put my own watermarks on, don't I? Because of all these problems. Well, look, Sentries, and what's this one over here? Fuck Armchair Detective. So all of a sudden, he's discovered me. Now he's got something to say. Now it's starting to become more public. Now he realises that Sentries isn't just a 59 subscriber nobody. Sentries isn't just a little tiny channel that he can abuse. It turns out Sentries is me. Now he's got, oh, I'll reply to that now. I've heard him claim he's dyslexic. That can't help with his true crime analysis. Right, I've heard him claim he's a CCTV expert, but he didn't spot any of the stuff I did. And there's a lot on there. Right, that's my housekeeping. I wanted to say, you know, I've given him the lickings of a dog recently. He has apologised in public on a comment on a video on his own channel. And it's not a proper apology, but it's close. It's close. I did get a critical comment on one of my other videos. Oh, you spent the first 20 minutes of your video shitting on other... I'm setting the scene, mate. Leave me alone. This is the Sunday service. I'm allowed to take it in my own pace. It's 15 minutes in. And we're going to start listening to your messages now. Going to start listening to your messages. Grizzly literally put a name on the scammers. Yeah, you know what? I go into that a bit. I will quickly show you this actually, for all those that didn't see it. Well, you know, what's the point in shouting this out and then not showing you? We've got a really massive problem with this CCTV. Right? She puts this logo on it. You've seen it. Like this other one is when Nicola goes through the frame. See that logo? Obviously it's on top, isn't it? Because it's on top of Nicola's leg. Or Emma's leg, or whoever's leg that is. So why has it got, like, that is so fucked up. Jizzy needs to, like, Jizzy, are you watching? Can you explain that? What am I asking you to explain? Balls in your court now. Is the word G. The thing matches the same. What I was going to show you is that the actual Grizzly crime thing seems to move. There is some kind of, in this area, I should have lined this up or whatever. So look, you can see the G that's in there. I'm not the CCTV expert. There's more. The G moves. Distinctive walks like a farm. Quicker and easier way to do this, aren't there? There are quicker and easier ways to do this. It's on there twice. I don't really want to repeat myself. Today's the Sunday service, but she moves. It's on top of it, yeah. But it's not just on top of it, it's also underneath it. It's on there twice. The best way for me to do this is send trees, fix the video, because I fixed the jump in the video. Thank you for you like my clothes, thanks. Let me just quickly show you this in a very simple and easy way. Because while we're talking about it, Sunday service. Do what I like. Let's show you. Edit, transform. Reset, transform. Let's just have the bit in the middle. Come on. Apologies for me being a bit brain dead Sunday. Cat issues, not much sleep. Let's blow this up. This is going to blow your mind, anyone who hasn't seen this. It's going to absolutely blow your mind. It blew my mind. So where she walks through the watermark, obviously the watermark's on top, yeah? And then watch as I skip, you see the watermark jump? See it jump there? That's the moment where the video jumped, and I fixed it jumping, so now the frame doesn't move. I put it back where it was supposed to go, so it's easier to see, yeah? Watch this though, look, see where I put my mouse, that's the G for the Grizzly True Crime, Jizzy True Crime, that's the G, isn't it? You can see it, tell me in chat, you can see the G there, can't you, on the screen for the Jizzy True Crime. You can see that's her watermark, yeah? Jizzy True Crime just there, isn't it? That's the watermark there. And then, as Nicola moves through the frame, or Emma, you see it jump to the right, like that. You see the whole thing shift to the right? Because everything shifted. Remember, the whole frame jumped before. I put it back where it's supposed to go now, so we can see this a lot easier. But where my mouse is now, so that's where the watermark is. It's there. You all know it's there. She moves into frame. As it moves, the watermark's still there underneath the mouse. Look, isn't it? The G's still there. You can still see it. It looks like a number 6. It's still there. See that? It's there because there's 2 layers of it. There's like the first watermark, and then there's a second watermark exactly the same over the top, making it brighter. Right? And as I move forwards in frame, it moves to the right. The whole thing shifts to the right. But it's still there. That doesn't make sense. And then as I move forwards through the frame, you can still see that 6, that G is still there. And then as Nicola comes, or Emma, she covers it up. How is she covering up the watermark? How is Emma covering up the watermark? How is that character, that person walking through it? The watermark is underneath this character in the frame. She's underneath this character. Like there it is on top. Yeah? You see it there. That G. It's gone now from where my mouse was before. It is on top. It's very faint. Oh, it's very faint. Yeah, it's very faint. But it's there. Look, as I move back, you see it jump back now. You can see the 6 is definitely there. This is my mouse right underneath it there, the 6, yeah? And as I move back, bang, it lightens up. See, it lightens up there, G. But as I move away, it's still there. This is really wrong. And as we move forward, Nicola covers it. Emma, Nicola, and then she's behind it. It's what's happened here is Grizzly True Crime has put her watermark on it. Right? You see it's still there where the mouse is still there. She's put a watermark on that. And somehow she's managed to get it underneath this person that's moving through the frame. It's impossible. You can't put your watermark on top of the Nicola CCTV underneath Nicola. And I tell you what, I did look at this last night while I was reviewing my own video. The jump, the legs do change. They certainly do in the jump. I'll show you this as well. There's so much wrong with this, we can do hours on this. Armchair Detective, this is why I brought it up just now, is Armchair Detective said that they were a CCTV expert and they haven't spotted this. So they're not that expert. I'm not an expert, but I can see this. Look, the legs change in that jump. There. That's the frame change. That's the frame that jumped before that I've fixed. And you can see there's like a blurry white line around Nicola on the left here, if it's Nicola. There's a blurry white area here. It's blurry and white, as if something's been rubbed out and changed. It's like she's got a ghostly shadow around her. And you can see the thickness of the leg changes from frame 1 to frame 2. Like massively. That's not a camera angle thing. It's not a body angle thing. Like, that's something wrong. Very wrong. Even the footwear looks to change. The sock looks to change. Like the sock looks like it's suddenly got thicker, all sorts. And that's where, if you are making a cut, you've got the first bit of footage and the second bit of footage. You've cut between the two because that's where the jump is. And there's several frames of pause in between it as well. Look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You see those frames where it didn't move? I'll rewind it again. I'll count each frame as I move it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You see there's those frames there? They don't move. So there's there's another one of those moments where she passes over the watermark, and then someone else in chat told me that there's a watermark on the very left of the screen, and I was like, no, there's not. There's no watermark over here, and it's because Grizzly True Crime watermarked her video. She played the clip twice, and the watermark was on the left on one of them and the right on the other. So I've got to go back and have a good look at that. Are they two separate clips? Are the clips the same? Why did the watermark change on the two different clips? It's almost as if the watermark has been placed carefully to cover stuff up. Now that we know that Nicola passes, or Emma, or whoever passes underneath the watermark and over the top, we have to ask Grizzly how she's managed to achieve that. How this character is walking over the top and underneath her. It's like she's watermarked a video, then she's put a picture of Nicola on top of her watermark. The moving image of this person walking. It's almost like Grizzly True Crime has doctored this image to make another, like this character wasn't in it first, and then you've put her in walking through, and that's why all this light changes. If you look at the light, you see how it's blue and it's green, and it's blue and it's green. See how it's blue and it's green as I travel back and forth between these two chunks. Really dramatic, isn't it? The colour change when Nicola's in, or Emma or whoever's in shot, and I move it. You might say, well, that's a shadow. Looks a bit like a shadow changing, doesn't it? So why is the shadow from the sun all of this whole area here? Doesn't make enough sense. And as you move through it, and you can go to send trees and you can move through it frame by frame with the YouTube controls, with the little comma and the little plus button, back arrow, forward arrow, you can move through it frame by frame like that, look. And you can see colours changing on this brickwork down here all of a sudden in ways that they have no business doing. It's almost like someone's gone over it frame by frame with a paintbrush tool, and every time they've moved the frame, they've done a little bit more paintbrush. Yeah, have a good look at that on my B-side channel if you want. It's an hour and a half, more of that. I'll do more of it. Every time I find a little anomaly, I'll get it up, but we'll do it on the B-side, because pouring through CCTV footage live is not the most entertaining thing, in my opinion, but huge, isn't it? It's absolutely huge. So now we get on with the show, but I wanted just to point that out, to highlight that. Paul's shoulder, yeah, there's problems with this, there's problems with Paul. There's another problem as well, which I'll show you, which is massive. I get loads of these in chat. I get loads of them the live chat. I'll have to do like 20 videos because there's so many different bits to point at. Like huge things as well, like this. So when I was in the edit, there was a black bar on the right hand side. If I just make this edit, transform, reset, transform, you'll see this in Jizzy's true crime video as well, Ghastly True Crime. You'll see it in hers as well. As I move backwards and forwards, sorry, I'm not on the thing now, am I? Here, between the problematic jumping frame. See, on the right it goes black. On the right it goes black, yeah? So on the problematic jumping frame, a black bar appears on the right of the video after the jumping frame. I can show you by going to send trees. And the original video. See that black bar on the right hand side there? That's appeared now, hasn't it? When it jumps. And the problem we have here is the whole frame jumps like that and it moves left and right. I fixed that in the editing software. I went on my old Mac and I got the video in the editing software and I fixed it. And the way I fixed it was, as it got to this moment, I cut at exactly the frame. Yeah? So it's not like it loops, straddles my edit. No, exactly the frame. And to fix it, this has been moved over to the right, sorry, to the left. You see how the whole frame moves to the left there, like that? Left. And it creates a black bar on the far side, that means the camera's not moving. It's not the camera doing that, because it wouldn't create a black bar. You know, when you move your phone around, you don't get black bars on the side where you move your phone. That wouldn't happen, yeah? So we've got this black bar. So to fix it, what I do in the edit is I drag everything to the left, like that. On that from that frame onwards, I pull it all to the left. I put it back where it's supposed to go. See, it's moving. The black bar's on the right-hand side there, yeah? I pull it back where it's supposed to go. Simple operation, isn't it? I just pull the footage to the right. So my footage is there, and I'm pulling it to the right, like that. I'm shifting it that way to the right. And that way, we get this complete video now with no jump. Watch. See, the moment it jumps, you see the bars on the left change and the right, but you don't see the image no longer jumps left and right anymore because I fixed it, yeah? And that's where we get these 5 extra frames, which is weird. And when it jumps, notice this. See how the sides come in? We know there's a black bar on the right-hand side. We know that. And we know that I've moved this whole image over to the right of your screen. So what you should see on this side here is just the whole thing coming over slightly. If anything, what I'm finding really difficult is when I'm moving between the two frames. See how I'm losing this chunk of information on the left, where the mouse is now above my head. You see how there's more picture there and there's less picture there. You can see past the lamppost here, and there you can only go up to that electric box. The lamppost is included, it's not included. It's included, it's not included. It cuts off. It shouldn't happen. All I've done is drag the footage to the right. I haven't cut off the left-hand side. So whoever's edited this between those two frames, it looks like it's slightly zoomed in between those two frames. This is what would happen if, let's say, for example, I filmed something on my phone and then the next day I went and filmed it and they weren't quite lining up. I could make them line up in the edit, but I might have to move some things around. If I move some things around and I didn't record the lamppost in the second footage, you won't see it. It's not there. You know, that frame has moved to the right. It looks like the camera's moved now because you're missing the bit on the left. So what's happening? Why are we losing that information above my head? Why is the frame changing? What's happening? Why do all of these blurry bits all move and shift and change shape? Something's not right there. Something's not right there. There's loads more to it. Yep, her foot. We've had a look at her foot. I've had a decent good look at all these bricks down at the bottom here in the frame as well, which you will see if you zoom it in and have a good look. The bricks look like squares where somebody has taken black lines and made them white and white lines and made them black to fix this area here. It's impossible for your bricks to have white lines through the middle as if they were laid. I mean, I'll just show you this in massive while we're here, 109. This is the Sunday service, and this show's not supposed to be about this, but I know a lot of you are going to be interested, so I'll just quickly give you the lowdown from the high ground. So you don't have to watch the full hour-and-a-half video, because these are the main things I found in hour and a half of poring over it live on the internet. So down here, at this bottom area, look. Can you see these white lines here? Can you see how these bricks have got white lines in the middle? Yeah? A brick doesn't have a white line in the middle like that, does it? And there, that's a really good one you can see there just by my head. It's got a white line in the middle. It looks like someone's taken those black lines out and coloured them in so that it looks like it's a full brick when actually it's a half brick. So it looks like the whole pattern has been shifted and someone's fixed it by colouring in the black lines and colouring the other lines. That's why some of these lines, I was like, why are these lines looking so dark and black over here? Why does that line look so dark and black? Is it that the brickwork is there a space between the bricks there? How are these lines so thick and black? Is it moss? Why does that line extend into the brick? It's hard to see because my YouTube is picking up that thing, but some of those black lines seem to overlap and move into. I'm like, well, it could be dirt. Those lines aren't complete everywhere. Like here, they're not complete. Well, it could be a bit of a... What is it? What it is someone's fixed all this brickwork or tried to. You know? I went out with the block paver, it was shady. Is Paul's movement in and out the car on a loop? There's something wrong with it. There's definitely something wrong with it. I'll take a good examine of Paul. This is what I was saying. You're going to throw loads of stuff up in chat. I can only do so much in a day. I've brought to everyone's attention the Grizzly True Crime editing, more than the editing, the problematic like placing of Nicola on top of your watermark somehow. My feelings from my heart are that this is all composite, that this section over here is one section, that this section over here with Paul is another section, this part with the car is another piece, this walking person is another piece that splits in half, so it's two pieces, and then this part over here in the bottom right is another piece, and then this might be another piece here. It almost feels like you've got like 7 different videos and cut them all up and put them all together, and then you've not put them all together with like harsh lines, you've overlapped them and then faded them out so they overlap and fade between the two. And that way you can't see the joins and stuff. But there are some hugely problematic areas. These bricks change colour at some point. Hugely problematic areas. I've highlighted some. I've done another. So now we've got 2 videos on the B side. Forget Armchair Detective. He doesn't. He's a CCTV expert, but we've now got 2 videos on the B side, on the lives. Sorry. Review of the crime channels and CCTV fixed more problems, and we've got more to do. There's going to be more, so very interesting, very interesting. Kathy saying in chat, the fact Grizzly got the footage from Paul's male friend says it all. I mean, what it says to me is, why do you trust what she says? I got it from Paul's male friend. Could have been from Paul's nan. Paul might not be telling the truth. Why do we all believe what Grizzly says? I've just proved that she's telling you something that she's not telling you, or that something's going on that she's not telling you. You know what I mean? I'm not saying she's a liar, but I've just proved that her watermark is both on top and underneath Nicola's leg. Emma's leg, whoever's leg. It's both on top and underneath. So Grizzly True Crime is not telling you what she's doing. She's put that character on top of her watermark.
It's raining again.
How can that happen?
Swish and then whoosh.
And why does it have to be a male friend, and why do you have to believe what she says? I've not seen any evidence of who sent this. She might not have even been sent it by Paul Ansell. She might have made it herself on computer. I don't know. I don't know what their house looks like. I don't know what their drive looks like. I don't know what car he drives. I don't know if any of this is real. You know, that's what I've got to say about it. It's awful. It wouldn't stand up in court. If I was a lawyer and you wanted me to take this to court and prove stuff, I'd have to say inadmissible as evidence, prove that it's all been doctored. That's all I can prove about it. So it's a real issue to me, a real serious issue to me. I want to say thank you to Melissa, who bought me a coffee while I was offline. Thank you very much. We've got a couple more to say thank you for now, haven't we? Emma White bought... Uncontrolled Historian first. Thank you very much, Uncontrolled Historian. Uncontrolled Historian's been with me for a while now, and, you know, they know that I've been struggling through lean times with a smaller channel, and things are starting to happen for me now, so I'm really grateful. You know, Emma White says, I was in a work meeting. And she pays me £3. Thank you very much, Emma White, for in a work meeting. Class Act says, got a bone to pick with you. Was about to go to bed last night. Found out you were alive. Had to watch till the end. Got up late for Mother's Day. Yeah, it's my fault. I'll take the sting. I'll take the hit. Thank you, Class Act. I'm really, really grateful. I'm really grateful. You don't have to watch late at night. I just had to get it out of my system while it was late, because while I'm doing it in the edit, I edited it late at night, and then I saw this. All I was going to do is fix the jump and then upload it, and then I saw that stuff, and I was like, hang on, wait, what's this? And then I zoomed right in on the editing software, and I was like, this isn't right. So then I had to show everyone. Yeah. Do you want to hear your voices? Should we get on with your voices? Let's see where this is going then, because I don't want this to go on for hours today. I've got cats to look after, got dinner to cook, and I'm going to be on Twitch later playing Genshin Impact. That's my weekend enjoyment chill time. So this, to be honest, this all gets on my head a bit. I don't like thinking about murder all the time. I don't like thinking, like today's Mother's Day, and I have to say a prayer out to Nicola's children. God forbid they should ever watch me ranting on about what's been going on the internet, but one day they're going to grow up and they're going to understand the world a bit better, and I feel so sorry for them. Just a second, I need an ashtray. Oosh. Oosh. Yeah. I feel so... how'd you get your voice up? Sorry, I'll give you a chance now. I mean, I feel bad about it because I don't really want to... I don't really want extra loads unvetted voices coming in now, because, like, you know, it's different. The hardcore crew have sent their voices in early, but you've got chance now. Let's see how long it goes. I won't promise that everyone who sends in a message since we've been rolling gets their message read, but we'll definitely play all these that are in my voice box at the moment. And the kids in the address. Okay, yeah, I wanted to make a point on that. You know, I find it difficult dealing with all this stuff. I'm not a true crime channel. I have an interest in the truth. I have an interest in media. I have an interest in body language and stuff like that. That's how I got into it, is because the body language, they didn't appeal, and the body language looked wrong. If they're going to go on the internet, I'll do a video about them. But other than that, you know, I'm not out there digging up true crime facts. I don't have much of a... Not very interested in murders, really. I mean, it's interesting, but you know what I mean? Like, it's harsh and it feels bad. The truth of it, the reality of it, is pretty fucking horrible. So feel a bit sorry about that. And yeah, their house, their address and stuff like that, I don't want to show their address on the internet. You know, I don't want to show the children's house. Hopefully they're not living there with Paul. Hopefully they're living with the grandparents. But yeah, a little thought for them. Right. Let's do the theme music.
La 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 I couldn't be happier. La 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 la.
Thank you, Addison Miles, for the £10 super chat. Going up a level. Missing grey bin. You know, I'm going to read out what you've written here. I was melted on the drive when they tried to destroy the evidence. Missing grey bin. I wonder. I don't know. Again, things that I don't know that I can't say for fact, I don't say on the internet, really. But it does appear that there's a missing bin there. If it was me, I might have put my bin back in the wrong place or anything. I don't know. I've had people tell me on the internet that the bin day for that particular bin, they've got a bin that's missing, and apparently the bin that's missing should be out on the day before, on the 26th. I don't know that. Just getting voice messages, just getting messages here. Someone else has sent me some more interesting stuff on Twitter that I'm looking through, and you know, I try and verify, but things that I don't know, like if it's on video, I can talk about it on the internet. If it's other stuff, it becomes like, you know, I feel worried about stating things that are facts that are not facts, that are ideas. We're all allowed to have them, we can all talk about them, but your dogs are going nuts for the sound. They like it, do they? But yeah, that missing bin. Thank you, Missing Grey Bin, for sending in the tippies. I've got a couple here that are from... Okay, we're going to go from this one. This was actually 6 days ago. We've got a couple from a week ago.
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier.
Swish and then whoosh. And I don't want to go too far back in the because some people sent me messages like when the thing wasn't even open. But let's see what we'll go from here.
Super Chopper.
Actually, not that one, because that one was... I asked you to not play it. That one wasn't it? This one.
Super Chopper. One more thing.
One more thing. So these are one more things. These are from a week ago. I'm not going to... I've listened to them. If that's you, Cat Lover and Chuffman, I've listened to them. But one of you said you didn't want it to be played live even. So anyway, let's try and get to where we're at.
This Emma.
No, that one was from weeks ago as well, wasn't it? Okay, here we are. 6 days ago, Peter Pan. Right, this is where we're at. Peter Pan, 6 days ago.
Super Chuffer, where are you? It's 12 o'clock. It's always 12 o'clock. There's no chuffing chuffer, is there? When are you back, Mr. Chufticle?
I'm here now.
Because I need some chuffing. I need some chuffing chuff. I enjoy your chuff. And you need to come back and do some chuffing.
I am.
Specifically around the Nicola Bully case.
Will do.
I'd like you to look into the CCTV.
I'm doing so.
I'd like you to pay attention to the ponytail.
Will do. That's a big one. We need to have a real, full episode on the hair on the CCTV. Someone else actually told me, please don't get bogged down with the CCTV. I watched Ed's Vinyl Break. They've actually got a good head on their shoulders. I like Ed. They said some things that I agree with, but it didn't sound like they just copy my videos. It sounded like they got their own ideas and come up with them. Very happy with that. And they shouted me out as well. So if our ideas overlap and I get a literal shout out in the video and an @Super Chuffer, fine. No problem. Big fan. And Ed's Vinyl Break had some agile moments, like mental agility, where he did a voice, he's got characters. So see, I'm going because in my brain I'm trying to think what I'm about to do here, but he did it very quickly. He's got some characters oh, hello, I'm Grandad. Hello, Grandad. How are you doing? Oh, I'm doing all right. You chuffer. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, right, Michael Caine turned up, and Grandad was there, and Michael Caine, and the other chuffer, and it's got I'm sorry, this is Grandad, and you know what I mean? It got lots of stuff going on, and what it showed me. Although it was just a bit of comedy, what it showed me is this fella can chuck the juggling balls up in the air in his mind. He can juggle ideas. He's got mental aptitude and agility. And I'm not saying that some people are thick and some people are smart and this and that. I'm not saying that if you're good at maths, you're some super chuffer. What I'm saying is that some people have got different gifts. Others might be able to lift heavy, strong things. Others might be able to run fast. Some people might be able to sing beautifully. Other people are great cooks. We've all got slightly different gifts. You can work on anything. So if you don't think you're good at something, you can work on it, you can get better. But what it showed me was that Ed's Vinyl Break had this mental agility, this sharp mind, and that made me feel relatively confident with the other observations they were making. So I thought that was cool, I thought it was good. We're going off the rails now. Snips has got me, rein me back in. But I wanted to say big shouts out to Eddie's Vinyl Break. We're not the same person, no.
Length of the ponytail. And I'd like, if possible, for you, if you were a hairdresser, to get hold of a wig which is shoulder length. Mm-hmm. I mean, actually, maybe you don't need that because you have lovely hair, which is around shoulder length. And I'd like you to put your hair in a ponytail and see the length of it. Because when I'm looking at that CCTV, I see quite a long ponytail, much longer than I would say is shoulder length. It even looks like it doubles back on itself. So it looks more like to maybe the upper chest area, which sounds longer than the description of Nicola, and many photos I've looked at looks longer. So if you can have a look at that, that'd be great. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. That is a slightly older message, but it's still pertinent, isn't it? Look, and yeah, we will have a good look at this hair. I used to be a hairdresser, I did, and I've got some things to say about hair colour. Emma, her future, the videos that she's made, how her hair changed. Well, there's quite a lot to dig into there, so I do agree. And that caller is correct. If I tie up my hair, it goes up and you bring it up. If you let that hair down that's in that picture, it would come down quite long, and it is a massive issue. What do I think of Eddie's Vinyl Break's opinions regarding this? Sue says, Nicola returning home that morning. Yeah, you see, Eddie's Vinyl Break has a different opinion to me in some of the story. Some of the things we agree on, some we don't. So I think, personally, one, it's really important that we disagree. That's good. We shouldn't all agree. We should have different ideas, and we should put our ideas together and see where they go over together and where they change, and you know which ones we shouldn't be arguing with each other and be angry. It's a bit like this vegan thing, or it's a bit like, you know, we've had this Brexit thing, haven't we? We've had the Brexit thing. Everyone, we've had the COVID thing, haven't we? We've had the COVID. Some people believe stuff that you think is way out there and way off, and what you believe they think is way out there and way off. But right, and I'm going to say this is important. We've been through it now. I don't want to hear any more of your bickering. Like, for me, it's that now. I had my opinions, I had my doubts, I had my thoughts, I had my feelings. In the end, right? In the end, we've been through it. So I don't want to end up arguing with people for the rest of my life because of something that happened 10 years ago. Like Brexit, we have opinions. You can like it, lump it. You did like it, you didn't. My opinion is different to yours. It doesn't matter. It's done now, right? And if I keep arguing with it about you, that's silly. We can all make mistakes. So I might be wrong, you might be wrong. We can both admit that. I might be wrong, you might be wrong. We can both admit it. Neither of us have got the full picture, really, because neither of us are in Boris Johnson's office with all the papers. You know what I mean? Like, we don't get the full picture anyway. So I don't begrudge people getting different ideas. Some people like different things on their pizza. I don't go over to their table and fucking throw their table over and have enough of it and I can't have it anymore. No. Okay, eat your pizza the way you like it. We're going to live together. We're going to get on. Because those big political things cause us to argue, but small, simple things like, would you like a cup of tea, or do you love animals, or, you know, are you a kind person? They're the same for all of us. And people like, some people are very eggy about, like, immigrants is another good one. You know, some people are very eggy about them. I'm less eggy about them or whatever. But we're all for the same reasons. We all want to protect the people we love. We all want to make sure that like things are safe in our country and stuff like that. So the motivations for your choices are different to mine, like, the same as mine, but you come out with different endings. That's fine. Like, okay, like, I'd like to go back to the bit where we had the same motivations. Like, I think too much of this is divide and conquer, and more of it needs to bring us together. So forget what's happened, like COVID, Brexit. You know, these words are going to get me demonetized probably, but there's still loads going on about it. They're still trying to bang your head with it. Those people that are still trying to bang your head with it, like there was a doctor on the internet and now he's playing all this Andrew Bridgen stuff. I really don't like Andrew Bridgen. He's been proved to be like manipulating the truth at best and a disgusting liar at worst, in my opinion. But if you love him, whatever. But like, we don't need to be banging our heads about it now. It's kind of done. Like, that money's been spent, those people have died. It's kind of done, you know? So, like, yeah, I don't like that feeling that we argue on going into the future. I don't know where that point came from actually just now, but yeah, we've got a lot. Oh, that was it. Eddie's theory's not the same as mine. Good. Between us, we've probably got some right ideas there. We don't know which ones exactly. We don't know how everything sticks. But that hair there looks a very different colour to the hair in the other frame. And also, someone tweeted me. I should tweet that I'm streaming. I usually tweet that I'm streaming. Oh my god, I got 18 notifications there. Look, I get quite a lot of notifications. Look, these days. So I apologise if I don't reply to everything. But somebody sent me, this was really good, a breakdown of the frame rate here from the slow motion section. So we've got in between certain seconds, the seconds aren't taking the same amount of time on that video. Frames 826.14, 826.15, 826.16. I've got 50 frames a second there, which is a different frame rate. I mean, this is slow motion, so I've halved it, so it should be at 50 frames. If it's 25 frames a second, it should sit at 50 frames a second in slow-mo. But some of them sit at 44. One of them's 25. One of them's 7. That's the first one, so we can't count that. And one of them's 31. It's the last one, we can't count it. But in the middle there, you've got a problem where frame rates change. It's insane. I couldn't count it. My brain wasn't working. Thank you, Mickey, for counting that. And we've also got somebody who sent me or retweeted me here. I found that Nicola's foot was invisible. There's a lot going on, isn't there? Look, all these tweets. I found here, look, they tweeted it. There's a nice big picture of it, so I don't have to find it in the video. At one point, her foot becomes invisible. Impossible. When you watch the video, she's not all blurry and invisible because she's like Billy Whiz. She's not super fast. Impossible. Literally impossible. Don't know what to say about that, but I was really pleased that Mary Ribs there spotted it and retweeted it. I only mentioned it briefly, but they spotted it, retweeted it. This is how this all works. I'm really grateful. So I'm at Informal Films. People are helping me out on Twitter there, and people are sending me stuff as well, and I can't get through it all. There's a lot. There's a lot. You know? So I'm doing my little bit, doing my best, but there's a lot. Right, next message. That was Peter Pan. This is Susan. Is it? Oh, it wants me to reload the page.
I watch the body language too, and I am saying all the same things you are. And my name's Susan. I'm from the United States. But I watched your show recently now, and I think you are picking apart everything that I've been seeing. And I'd like to say the coroner would not have transferred her to the forensics lab for scans and everything if he thought it was natural or an accident. That only goes over there for suspicious or foul play.
I'll pause that there. I don't know how it works in America, and I don't really know how it works in England, but I hope you're right there. One of the things I do think is that the coroner might be so connected to Lancashire Police, like, it might be better to refer it to somebody third party. I know the coroner is supposed to be independent judiciary, but it might be better to get somebody else on it so that they can't be accused of covering the truth in any way. But we hope, you know, fingers crossed, that they get information. The worst case scenario would be an inconclusive, wouldn't it? Because then just leaves everything open. And there is currently going to be an inquiry into the police handling of the case, and that inquiry is going to focus on how the police let the narrative get out of their hands and how the police failed to control the narrative, which is disgusting in itself. But yeah, my great hope, and it's not hope, like I hope, you know, we hope for the best, but at the moment the best is way past now, you know, way past. So what I kind of hope is that they discuss, like, certain evidences that wouldn't be, like, for example, if you've drowned, the blood enters your lungs at a certain point. Maybe they know if you've drowned or if you were suffocated, or maybe they can't tell because you've been in the water for so long. But other things like broken bones, I suppose, like, you know, broken bones in the neck from strangulation, things like that, I think they might stand out. I don't know if that's how she died necessarily. I think they might have been clever enough to try not to leave that evidence. Or if she's been stuffed into a culvert, there might be some signature, you know, bruising or markings to the body. I don't know, but Sue says suspects she's going to be created. I think so, absolutely. I just hope that when she's being checked by the coroner or whatever, I hope they take samples, I hope they take photographs and record it all, and they know what they're doing at their end. The thing with the water is really interesting as well, is that the water, you would think it might make the body break down quicker. Certainly parasites, and if you'd made it to the sea, you'd only be there for 2 weeks, you'd be gone. The sea, the crabs and all that sort of stuff that have you. But if you're in the waterways in the UK, there's not that many parasitic and predatory and, you know, things like that. Not that many, what do they call them, detritivores, things that feed off the detritus, detritivores. There's not that many of them. So what actually happens is the body is kind of refrigerated. You know, it's kept in cold water, so it doesn't break down as quickly. So they would know if that body had been out of the water for 2 weeks and then dumped into it. They'd know that. So it's going to be interesting. We'll have to wait and find out and see. Seen enough television, you know, I've seen enough Silent Witness to hope that Nicola is going to be able to, so to speak from beyond the grave and help us with that.
And so he took a scan of it. He gave the body back to the family, which is nice, but he doesn't need it anymore because he's got a clone in the 3D imagery of everything that was going on in her body. And he's going to find out whether she was in the water that long or not. Poor darling. I don't know. I just wanted to let you know that something doesn't seem right to me either. And I've been studying the body language with Greg Hartley and Chase. Yeah. So I have a lot of respect for you because it's hard to pick up. Some people don't see it. But have a good night. I love the channel.
Thank you, Susan. One of the things we did the behaviour panel the other day, and I poo-pooed them a lot because they didn't seem to pick this up. One of the things Susan says, though, is some people don't pick it up. I'll tell you what I do. I watch it once, and I have my instinctive feelings, and like I'll voice them, I'll note them down, and then I'll try and put them aside and go through with a sort of more clinical eye. And I've got the benefit of rewinding, playing slowly. So if I was just chatting to a person, I can't pick up every body language cue and say rewind and slow down, but I can with video. So then I go over like more clinically, and then I say, right, the red flag, let's make everything add up to the worst. And I kind of do a white flag one as well in my own mind separately, but we don't do them on the internet really, especially in this case because they don't seem to hold much water, so to speak, But I think intuition counts for a lot in this, and I don't think people should discount it very much. And I think the problem with the body language panel is they've gone too strict. From reading a lot of comments that I've been getting as well, a lot of people have gone, like the body language channel, it's almost like they're doing it from books, and they don't know these people in the UK, and they're not that familiar with the mannerisms and the style of talking and everything, and they've just gone out of what the books say, and then where it's like questionable or you get an instinctive feeling, they've not gone with it. They've given you a counterpoint instead. So I don't know about that, I don't know about that body language panel myself, but all good in the hood, I think. Good comments. Thank you very much, Susan. This is Paula. Is that a squeaky toy?
So I was wondering, what do you think Paul will spend his GoFundMe money on?
What do I think Paul will spend his GoFundMe money on? I think that, it couldn't have been the funeral. Funerals don't run to 35 grand. I personally think that, because he's also got the money from the sale of her car and her jewellery or whatever as well. I think what he's going to spend the money on is he's already got some sort of debt. That's what I think it is. I think there's already something behind the scenes. I don't want to go too deeply into the drug debt concepts. I don't want to go too deeply into the drug gang theories. You could call them conspiracy theories if you want. They're not really, but one of the problems with the drug aspect is that I don't mind speaking out in public against like people who have done wrong, and I don't mind speaking out about justice and the people and the police. I'm not worried about psyops and stuff like that. But I tell you what, I know that high-end drug dealers don't fuck about, and people will be murdered. Like, not Nicholas Bully style, but you just never see them. You won't know they've gone. They'll be gone. And I don't want to ire. Like, if the drug gang people are watching, like, I'm not trying to get to you. We just want Paul done. We just want those kids to get their justice. We don't need to take down the whole bloody, backstage drug system. I mean, Christ, I smoke weed and buy it. So, but there's other drugs and there's harder drugs and there's things at play there. There are things at play, aren't there? There are organised criminals doing their business, and it's not me on the internet to try and dig into that necessarily, is it? Because I'll tell you two things. One, I won't fix it, I won't stop it. Even if you cut off the head of that snake, whoever it is that's in charge of the thing, they go to prison, someone else takes their place. I'm not going to fix it or stop it, and two, I don't want to be dead. So, what's he going to spend his money on? I think he's already allocated it out. I think it's already gone on debts. That's what I think. What do you think in chat? What would you spend 30 grand on in chat? What would you like to spend your money on? Your ill-gotten gains, so to speak. What would you like to spend your 30 grand on? Let's listen to the next one. This is Fiona.
Happy Sunday, Scott. Hope you're well. Loving your channel. Fantastic.
Thanks.
Anyway, I want to ask you if in future videos you can discuss about the power of the Illuminati and...
Quick, stop that there. Get rid of that. Bin that. Quick, delete the episode. The Illuminati, yeah. Do you know what? Fiona's left actually a few messages here. She's left 3, so she's got quite a lot to say. But I'll just quickly, before she says what she's going to say. When I was younger, there were different conspiracy ideas around at the time. well, go back in time, right? You've had JFK, you've had the moon landings, there've been conspiracy theories and conversations. And then as time's gone on, media's become more sophisticated, information has become more available to share, to record and share. More and more people have been able to do what we're doing on the internet, and more voices are able to be heard. So more ideas come to the fore, more evidence is found for certain things, and more ideas come to the fore. So it's interesting to me that back then, like when the Twin Towers went down, I remember thinking this is the start of World War III, and America have actually like caused their own downfall here. And I don't know where. I certainly didn't believe everything that was told to me. I remember like all these Islamic bombings, and then I was doing investigation. It turned out that America had funded Osama bin Laden and sort of set up Al Qaeda so they could use them to fight. Like the Al Qaeda used to fight against Soviet occupation in places like Serbia. There was a Bosnian war, wasn't there? Bosnia. There was like other places. Like the Muslims were being massacred by the nationalists in certain areas, and so we funded the Muslims to fight back. We actually went and supported, and go back and read your history sort of thing. And so this Illuminati thing, this like sort of like a clandestine group of 3 people or 4 people in a room that own all the operations and the money and have got big power. I think it was easier to believe in that back the further back you go, because things seemed like there was like bigger companies that seemed to have more dominance, and it used to be that it was the energy companies, the oil companies and stuff like that, wasn't it? And look how the world's changed recently with electric vehicles and green energy and the internet, and people getting hugely rich and famous off the internet. And like now it seems there's lots more players in the big power pond, and it feels to me less like there's one clandestine group of Illuminati, and more likely just lots of rich people being very selfish and very greedy and making decisions just for themselves in the short term. And when they do that, it looks like there's some bad chuffer organising things. The bad chuffer is greed. The bad chuffer is selfishness. The Illuminati conspiracy is that when people get in these positions, they act like chuffers. And so I feel less like somebody's telling them to be a chuffer, and just that the chuffers are up there. Like, do you know what I mean? I feel a bit like that. So I feel less. I used to feel like, yes, there's an Illuminati and there's like this clandestine group of people doing it. And now I feel like, having seen some of the people that have been exposed, they're not even that good, they're not even that clever, they're not even that, like, I think they'd fuck up all the time. I think they'd do it badly anyway. And the world moves so quickly. Adam Curtis on YouTube, Jane Stamp, that's a very good shout out. Yeah, Adam Curtis, I watched all of his stuff, really changed my viewpoint on the world. Adam Curtis did very interesting stuff. And having pointed that out, you're talking about a global elite, and it's always pointed out like it's the Jews or the American Jews, but then all those Saudis have got all that loads of money. And if you look at sport at the moment, like the top boxing events go to Saudi Arabia because they've got more money than anyone else. So how can they be doing that if the Jews are running the world? Because they wouldn't want the Arabs to have all that money. So now it's the Arabs that are in charge. But then what about... So it doesn't all play into being like a pyramid with one thing at the top? See what I mean? But I think as you go higher up, people, they do shit things. And so I think there are a lot of weird and shit things going on. Sue asked me, do I think the police have contacted the behaviour panel and told them an autopsy had been done, no foul play, and did not want rumours? Again, this is like that thing, isn't it? Are they being told from on top to do this? And if me as a media producer, if the police contacted me and told me to do that, I'd say, fuck off. I'll do what I like. And I believe the behaviour panel are based in America, where it's even more a free speech thing. So I think what's more likely is that when you get higher up in YouTube and you're famous on YouTube and you've got your big channel, if you make a wrong move, you're worried because you've got a big audience that people like the backlash. Imagine they'd said Paul did it, he'd done a murder. Then they might be ghouls. They might be internet ghouls. I think they're more concerned with their own public image, and so they don't need someone to tell them, don't say Paul did it. They're going to err on the side of what makes them seem nicer in public, what makes them seem more nice people, that the majority of people are going to think. They looked at it and they said, what are the majority of people going to think? The majority of people are going to think it's a suicide. So let's make sure we leave a lot of room for it sounding like, because if it turns out to be a suicide and we said it was a murder, we're taken off the internet essentially. We've lost all credibility. But if it turns out to be a murder and we said it could have been like a suicide, then we're not going to lose credibility. We could still go on and work with that. So I think it's more about their own personal. I don't think they've been told by the police, but I think the motivations fall in line with the police in a way. Someone's asked about the Bilderbergers. Again, I don't know. There's a lot of old money, isn't there? And I don't know enough these days to really... it's been a long time since I was hearing about these things, and it would seem that powers have shifted. Like, why would they allow Elon Musk to become so rich and powerful? Like, why would they allow Jeff Bezos to run Amazon? Like, there seems to be a sort of nouveau riche. Like, Andrew Bridgen's a great example in the Conservative Party. You know, recently with the Brexit stuff, the European Research Group and a load of sort of nouveau riche, the potato kings, not the old money. You know, Churchill. Do you remember when Churchill's granddad got pushed out by these usurpers because of the Brexit thing? Churchill's granddad, grandson. Like, it seems like that wouldn't be allowed to happen if the big Illuminati were in charge. I might be wrong, wrong. It's all ideas. It's all ideas, isn't it? Let's let Fiona carry on.
The power they have over subjects such as even education, what happens in schools, for example, on sex education.
I'm going to pause that briefly there because, there's a problem in that it's a double-edged sword. We do want an organised government. Talking about the World Economic Forum, I understand they've done a lot of bad things, the World Economic Forum. This is what I'm saying again. I think the principle of having a World Economic Forum is a good idea, but then you get rich people who get the job and they fuck about and they're skanky and chuffers. It doesn't mean that they're put in there because they want them to do a bad job, like, clandestine operations. It means that when you get in charge, if you're in the position to be in charge of the World Economic Forum, you've got there by shitting on people, stealing, being a bastard, all this sort of chuff, and then you get your hands on the money tap and you're a chuffer. Like, I can understand that less than the idea that they've set it up to be a chuffer's paradise. That's not, like, the idea of global government as well and stuff like this, globalization. We only are able to eat and succeed in our economies at the moment. You live in the West, like you eat and succeed because the rest of the world is global and connected, and we get our stuff shipped in from elsewhere. Like, you don't want to be isolated, and the opposite of being global is being local, and we can't produce things locally at scale and for cheap money. So we fly things all over the world, like whether they be beans or barrels of oil. We move things around the world. It's a global system. It is. You can't avoid it. It is a global system. It's like saying I want the weather to be local, not global. Well, like, so what? Like, the jet stream's going to blow across. Birds fly from America to Canada, without passports. Thank you, Mick D, for the tippies. I actually believe in a more free global society as well, where because I'm born just because someone, Boris Johnson and his chuffing mates, or whoever way back in time, set out that this is England and that's France and this is that. They've drawn lines on a map. Like, the birds don't know it, the cats don't know it. Like, the world is a one world. It's not separate. It is one world, and it all intertwines. And it seems strange for us not to accept it and try and work with it. But these aren't ideas about politics necessarily. They're just my views on sort of the realities of the world we live in that sense, if that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. And I find it so strange, like I said, that it's become, because I believe, right? Thank you, Mick D. That was my courage, thank you. And I'll check out the River Wire one in just a second as well. I find that the people, if there is a global elite, let's say that instead of Illuminati or whatever, and they want you to follow them and do what they say, then it would seem that the people on the ground who are saying, oh, let's dismantle globalism, oh, let's have a Brexit, oh, I don't like the immigrants, like, those people, how have they got the truth? How come they're not being influenced by the global elite? Because we saw with Nigel Farage that Nigel Farage was a former London banker who was in the Conservative Party, big Thatcherite. And then, okay, we had what went on in the 90s with Europe and stuff, and we entered in Europe and all that. By the by, a bit later, you've got this guy who's now independent, Britain First, Brexit, UKIP party, UK independence. He used to be a Conservative, Like, under that purple banner is a blue Conservative all the way through and through. And what he hoped for was he'd drum up what the Conservatives can't do. The main party can't say, we're going to start being nationalists. We're going to do UKIP. Conservatives are the party of UKIP. They can't say that. They'd lose all their core base in other areas. They can't do it. But they want to hear it. They want to experiment with it. They want it to happen. So they subsidise Nigel Farage. He's like a splinter cell of the Conservatives now. Conservatives 3.0, UKIP, side project. He does his thing. Everyone gets excited. They follow him. Let's vote for Brexit. Let's vote for Brexit. All of a sudden, when it comes round, who are they voting for? Because they didn't get to vote for Nigel Farage. He wasn't there. He'd fucked off. He'd done something different, hadn't he? He'd gone off to America or some shit. Who they had to vote for was the Conservatives, was Boris Johnson. They'd been herded like sheep, like confused sheep. These are my opinions. Like I said earlier, let's not argue about Brexit and this and that. Let's accept the fact, though, that those people who are excited by those ideas ended up voting for Boris Johnson, the Conservatives. Take back power, Britain first and all that. And the elites... Boris Johnson's come from Eton, like he's part. If there is an elite and all that, he's part of it. He's like one of them. And so the idea that you would vote once you've voted, they've got the power. You understand? They've got all these working class people who previously would never have voted for them. All the Labour heartlands and all this, they're voting Conservative. That's what the Illuminati want. That's the point. And they're all doing it on the ticket of I'm a truther, I'm the realist, I'm, against the power. Like Donald Trump in America, this is all, Donald Trump copied it for his American thing. Donald Trump came after, didn't he, Brexit? Nigel Farage was out there helping Trump. Copied it. How do you get the disillusioned masses, sort of working class people, not interested in politics? There's a name for them, isn't there? It's not disaffected, it's... when you're not interested in politics. How do you get all of them to vote for your Donald Trump, for your political party, the Republicans? Well, you tell them that you're going to drain the swamp and that you're going to come out, you're the only one that's not a politician. They end up voting for the party. They toe the line. It's great the Conservatives took back power because now they can remove your human rights. Now they can make things more hard for you so they can take more money. We're the sick man of Europe again. Like they didn't want control so they can have the border control. They didn't set that up. They let in the people sleep in the hotels. Those immigrants are coming over and sleeping in the hotels. Who's getting paid off that? Your tax money is going to the hotel. Who owns a hotel? Well, I fucking don't. Boris Johnson's mates do. They've got a whole group with loads of them. They own the properties and taxpayer money going to Boris Johnson's friends again. And you love it. Oh, vote for it because get rid of those immigrants. If that was if that was what it was all about, they'd have had the plans in place. We'd have had immigration centres. We'd have had border controls. We haven't. They said that's what they wanted. They didn't. But they got straight on with what they wanted. New curtains, lovely money, grubbing it away. That's my feelings on it anyway. So I think if there is an Illuminati or anything, it's surprising that the people that are on the end of the spectrum that should be fighting against them the most seem to have been coerced into voting for them. And if you're a supporter of Trump and the right-wing Republican Party, then you're not an anti-capitalist, anti-agenda, and you're not a truther and all this. If you're a supporter of the UKIP, the UK independents, if you've ended up voting for Boris Johnson, his Conservative Party of today, look who you got. You got people you didn't vote for, Liz Truss. You got people you didn't vote for, Rishi Sunak. You didn't vote for them. You even got Boris Johnson through a system of not voting for him in the first place. It seems that they're being hoodwinked the most. The people who would not normally vote are turning into staunch Conservative voters. Win Conservative. The global elites, the powers that be. Anyway, yeah, I think I've made my point. Let's carry on with Fiona. I don't want to get too political as well, because they're my feelings and thoughts, yeah? But you've seen my feelings and thoughts on other things are open mind. I'm interested to listen to other people's feelings. I've got to this by listening to lots of people talk about it. But I've also had lots of arguments, and we're beyond it now. Now it doesn't matter. Now it's too late. You gave them control. Not you or whoever, but like we voted to give them control. They took control. They're using it to do what they want now. Like, that's happening. Like, I can't argue with people at the pub as to whether Brexit was right or wrong anymore. It's done. I'm not some sore loser. It's irrelevant now. It's irrelevant. There's no one holding them to account anymore. I think you can still go to the European Court of Human Rights if your human rights are abused. But, people are going to be getting better wages and more time off, the countries. That's just how it's going to work. Deal with it. Oh, the cat's meowing now. But yeah, I don't want it to turn into like... Come on in. Because I think as well, like I said, I think more importantly than Brexit or COVID or whatever, more important is that people that, like, when you're in the pub, you're arguing with people.
It's raining
Like,
again.
people like us that
Couldn't
are on
be
the same sort of
happier.
level in life
And then whoosh.
end up having a big row and dividing, and that means we can't get together and politically be active in a sensible way to make good changes, because we're all arguing with each other over petty shit that doesn't really matter now. It's irrelevant. So yeah, I feel like that. I don't like politics, but I have opinions, and I think if anyone's listening and they think, oh, I think the complete opposite of him, I don't agree with him at all, fine, good, that's cool, we can talk about it. Let's not get angry and eggy and fight each other, because the main thing I think is people like us are not each other's enemies. My enemies are riding around in Rolls Royces, drinking champagne, doing cocaine, like, you know, dare I say it, buggering little boys around the back, like, you know, like, my enemies have been doing horrible things for years. They're right there at the top elites, they're right there at the top classes, they seem like nice people, but they're not, and they're living million pound lifestyles off our money that we put in as taxes, and instead of people getting good service at the hospital, they've got more money. They're my enemies, the multi-millionaires like Nadeem Zahawi and Richie Sunak. Richie Sunak and Nadeem Zahawi, right? Nadeem Zahawi's an immigrant himself, so I suppose he can go in the mix, can't he? Like, he's much more my enemy because of all the selfishness and greed that he's done, that's stolen all that money from all the systems around me, all the schools, all the hospitals. You know, he's ended up really rich. He used to have his electricity from his wife's stables business running to his house so that he could pay the meter through the taxpayer. And then when he got found out about it, oh, it was a mistake, oh, whoops. So either he's so inept that he shouldn't be in office, or he's actually a thief. I don't know which one it is. And then it happened again with his taxes, didn't it? With that other YouGov company. And YouGov is a website set up by Nadeem Zahawi, and they all use it for political conversation. Oh, YouGov says this, YouGov says that. Well, it's been set up by one of the big conservative people, so we can ignore it. They're my enemies. Someone else around the corner who's come from Afghanistan or somewhere and has got fucking scrub nothing. All they want to do is, like, you know, get their head down where it won't be blown up overnight, and maybe go and work a normal job at the library, you know, have some food. Like, they're not asking for a lot. You know, people might think, oh, they've got different ways of living and different culture, you know, maybe they commit crimes and stuff. Yeah, you wouldn't commit crimes so much if you weren't desperate, I like to think. But on the other hand of the coin, you know, on the other side, you've got people like Boris Johnson committing crimes, people like Nadeem Zahawi, you know, tax fraud is a crime and all that. Like, they're committing crimes, but they've got everything they ever could possibly want. So I don't know, you know, but I don't feel like other poor people are my enemy. They look like my enemy when I'm walking down the street because they're the ones that are going to come up and rob me to my face. But the ones that rob me behind my back, they're my enemy. I'm getting political. Come on, Fiona.
Also, the dark side of Hollywood and the music industry, if that's something you want to discuss.
Okay, the dark side of Hollywood, the music industry is much safer. They're all chuffers. Like Harvey Weinstein and all that. Yeah, we could definitely have a bit of a discuss about that. We definitely could. Let me see what's been going on here. Love my musing rants, body language analysis. Keep up the great work, says Moonstone. Thanks. I shouldn't go off on a political rant. I do try and avoid it. I'd love, you know, do you remember it was all going on and some people didn't want to have the conversations and some people did? I'd have all the conversations, and at the end of it, I'd rather buy you a pint and, you know, say, cheers, we've got different ideas, you'll go to the voting box and you'll vote your way and I'll vote my way. I'm glad I heard your ideas and I'm glad you heard mine. I'm happy for you to make up your own mind. I don't think we're all going to have the same opinion. It would be extraordinary if we did. But, like, what did annoy me was when I was doing a lot of research and I'd have arguments with people who didn't seem to do the digging. You know, the way I'm digging about Nicola Bulley, I did all that digging about the Brexit as well. I was like, who is this MP? Where have they come from? What is their background? Why are they saying this? What about the history? What about what Boris Johnson used to write in the paper? Do you know the bendy bananas? Boris Johnson made that up. The EU won't let us have bananas that are past a certain bendy. Bananas have to go to EU regulations. Boris Johnson made that up back in the day when he worked at The Spectator. There was some really interesting stuff came out of it. The River Wire says, Nicola Bulley didn't drown in me. Tell Emma White to stop piddling in me. Nicola Bulley didn't drown in me. Tell Emma White in a work meeting to stop piddling in me or I'll flood Marsh Farm. It's a threat. The River Wire is now making threats. Thank you very much for the tippies. I hope I didn't miss any there. And yeah, it would be boring if we're all the same. So I hope no one listens to what I say and then says, I don't like him because he's got these ideas about politics that are different from mine. Like, okay, I'm not doing a politics channel. She just brought it up, didn't she? Fiona just asked me, so I just told you. But I don't care. I'm not going to be angry at you for, we can still be friends. Do you know what I mean? We can still be friends.
Anyway, you have a great weekend. And I look forward to hearing from your next video. Thanks, bye.
Appreciate it, Fiona. But I think you've sent me another one here, haven't you?
Hi, Scott. It's me again, Fiona. I forgot to say that obviously this Sunday is Mothering Sunday.
It is.
And I want to wish all the mothers, including myself, a happy Mother's Day. However, I do appreciate that some mums or some daughters do not have their mothers alive, and sons don't have their mothers alive anymore, and it might be hard for some people. So I just want to send a message to the ones who don't have their mums with them anymore, that I'm sending you big hugs and thinking of you. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Fiona. That's really nice of you, yeah. Really nice sentiment. And you've sent me another one as well. So I did say only two. There's another one as well. There's quite a few, actually. There's a few from Fiona. Fiona's dominating the box today. I'll allow it because it's making the show happen. But if you leave me loads of messages, then it's the few. I kind of think it should be only two a person, really. They're 1 minute 30 each. Big hugs, Fiona. Here's another one from Fiona.
Hi, yes, it's me again, Fiona. I'm being a pain, aren't I?
No, see, she says it. No, you're not being a pain. It's not. It's actually making the show. It's just that I feel if everyone has the freedom to do 10 messages, then what will happen is I'll have 50 messages and it'll be far too much. Today, it's just you've left quite a few, Fiona, but I'm not angry at it. I'm actually okay with it. It's actually cool. If in the future, if my box is full, then I'll have to, only read some of them or play some of them. But we've got time today, I think.
Anyway, yeah, we're approaching the lockdown
and then whoosh! Thank you, What the Hen, for the tippies. I'll check them in just a sec.
Week. I think it was March 23rd,
She's talking about lockdown now, Fiona.
2020. I wanted your thoughts on how it's affected your lives, and was there any real point to it? Personally, I think it was a load of BS.
Okay, we'll get on to what you think in a minute, Fiona. First, I will say this, right? It changed. Everything changed. From the minute it started to the minute it ended, till today, even now, it's still changing. And so are my opinions. Okay? How do you do a voice message? You leave it on the speak pipe. But I'm not going to encourage you to do that now, because not everyone that gets their... I've got them on the ones that have come in already, I've got already. Depending on the time it takes in today's episode, we will not be able to listen to all of them necessarily, or even watch that video I said we were going to watch. So, depending on the time it takes. I'm not encouraging you all to send them in now. It's kind of closed, but I will let you know where it is, and you can if you want, and let's see if we get time to play them. But Fiona says it's BS. So the thing was, right, everything changes, and it changed. I want to make that very clear, and you've got to go with both your heart, your hunch, and what best advice and information you can get. If I had been in charge, right, I was aware. I'm going to sound like, I'm digging into all this, you know what I'm like. I'm up till 4 a.m. doing CCTV, poring over it. Again, I follow the news, I follow current events. I was aware of COVID. Me and my friend, I should get my friend on. I really would like to get Carolina on, because we were talking all the way through COVID. We phone each other every day. A lovely lady whose hair I used to do. And careful with my box. I mustn't let any one person fill it up like that. You never know where it'll end. Thank you, Medway. The thing about the COVID was 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks before it started going off and came to our shores, it was happening over in China, and we were aware there was a respiratory disease. Now, before that, we'd had SARS and we'd had MERS. We were lucky. We didn't have them. I didn't get SARS, I didn't get MERS, but SARS and MERS had happened as well. And we had swine flu, and we had bird flu, and we had mad cow disease. Yeah. In the past, in the UK, we've had rabies and other things, and other diseases that have needed vaccination, like polio and stuff, right? The issue that I had right at the start, because talking about lockdown is a wide and complex conversation, and it's all happened and changed. This is Shakira that's meowing now. This is cat number 2. This is the healthy cat. She's complaining. She's not happy. She's going to come up here for a cuddle. If she gets on the desk, she's going off. The problem I had with lockdown, or the issue is, okay, let me just get my thoughts straight and try and say it really quick. We should have done it earlier, and we should have done it quicker, and we didn't need to do it in the same way as we did it. We are an island. The rest of the world, different concept. Right, rest of the world, different concept. Britain, I'm in charge of Great Britain now. I'm in charge. We are an island. All plane traffic down. Chinese virus, very dangerous. Don't know what's about to happen. Seems to be spreading. All airport traffic down. Sorry everyone. Everyone cross. Everyone cross. Yeah, sorry. No, we're an island. We're setting up quarantines. It's a simple system. If you arrive in the island, you do 2 weeks in the hotel. I do not know why at this stage in the game, right, with all the stuff that goes around all over the world, Ebola as well, you know, it's people saying that, with all the stuff that goes around the world, don't worry Snips, you don't have to retract them, I don't know what your numbers were, but it's fine. With all the stuff that goes around all the world, we should have a system in place now where we can enact a very swift close of the borders, like that was what Brexit was about, wasn't it, the borders, close the borders and quarantine. So you can still come, you can still go, but you just have to go through a little place. We should set up the centres next to the airport, like a hotel, big hospital thing next to the hotel. Like, you know, entering the country, just go through the checks, just have your little, you know, just spend a couple of days in there, have your, okay, you're clear, you can go through, or you look suspect, you know, with quarantine or whatever. It doesn't have to go on all the time. But when there's an infectious, dangerous disease that's spreading rapidly from China, you might want the opportunity to just say, sorry, everyone, but we're closing the borders. If we'd done that, we wouldn't have to have the same lockdown in the country. You could have had a lot more freedom because no one would be able to bring it into the country. The end. Like, how did they not spot that? What were they doing? What on earth were they doing? Because you have to... Like, when they announced the lockdown, there was even like 2 or 3 days, they said, we're going to do lockdowns, so get ready for them. And everyone went out and bought all the bog roll. Do you remember? They should have been on lockdown then. It happened too late. So there's no point in closing the gate after the horses bolted. Because they did it too late, it got circulating into society. Then they were forced to do harsh lockdowns because otherwise more and more people would have died. The flip side of the coin is people suffered during lockdown. I get it. You know, when does the medicine make you sicker and X, Y, Z? I'm not able, if I was running the show, I wouldn't be able to answer those questions until after the event. Sorry. But what I do know is if we let this disease go wild, worst case scenario. Like, imagine this. No one knew how it was going to mutate. We're so lucky. You know, we're so lucky because it mutated to the point where maybe some people don't believe this. Fine. We don't have to argue. I'll just say what I thought because she's asking me. But I think we're so lucky because it didn't mutate to kill kids. You know, this is going to sound awful, but I could tolerate the death of my grandmother who was in her 90s. But I really couldn't tolerate the death of my nephew who's in his... I don't have a nephew, but you know what I mean? I couldn't tolerate the death of my nephew who's 9. You know, that would have been awful. So it would have been better if they closed the borders and controlled things that way and put quarantines in place. And while the rest of the world went to shit with COVID, we would have been the only country, like New Zealand did, the only country who could actually be open early and quick and, you know, we'd have had a lot more freedom and then we wouldn't have had such strict lockdowns. So that would have been much better. I also cannot understand this concept that economics was more important than health. That we needed the economy open because people's businesses are suffering. Because people haven't got, you know, they need to go out and work and earn money and you can't stop them. It's free society and all this. If people are dying, then, you know, it's not so good, is it? So like, I think health first, economics second. And what I couldn't understand is how people suffered when we were able to bail out the banks. It happens all the time. We bailed out the banks in the credit crunch. But during the lockdown, fill in some forms and we'll give you 20% of the money you might have made if you were working. And like, Jesus Christ, where was the government help? There's so many times Boris think maybe I should bring the army in to help him do so. They should have been doing handouts and freebies and helping, and there should have been like not an army patrol with guns, but you know, the resources and the logistics that the army can bring. They should have been up and down the streets handing things out and helping people along. Yeah, there was so much money for PPE deals. Oh yeah, that was what they saw. The problem we had is that the people at the top they didn't care about whether you died or lived. Yeah, what they cared about is how much money can they funnel off into their little pockets. It was like the gravy train is overspilling with gravy. Glug, 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 gravy, gravy, gravy. Boris fucking caught it and went to hospital. Like, they don't care if your nan lives or dies. They don't give a fuck whether my nan lives or dies. They were gravy training all the money away. Yeah, absolutely that. So I thought the lockdown was a bit of a mess. I thought it was handled badly, but not because I don't think we should have had it, but because if you do it properly and you do it early enough, then it works, and if you don't, then it doesn't. So they fucked up loads of times. I don't want to get too deep other than that, but that's my opinion. Let's hear what Fiona's got to say.
And it's had devastating consequences emotionally and obviously businesses.
Yeah. Do you know what? Emotionally as well, I felt like it was our war. My nan didn't understand it because she was in her 90s. I became a carer and I brought my nan to live with us so we could keep her safe. It felt to me, I remember the thing that really troubled me the most was during the war, we had a wartime spirit and people pulled together, and the British, when people think of what it means to be British, it's a hard and fragmented conversation, but what it means to be British for a lot of people is that during the war, we helped each other out and we wouldn't bow to fascism. We wouldn't allow people who were bullying the Jews and saying, get off the pavement, Jew, and you're a second-class citizen, and fuck immigrants, and just Germany for the Germans, Germany first. We wouldn't let those fuckers do us in. We stood up to it. We went on, we'll fight them on the beaches. It's going to make me emotional. We'll fight them on the beaches. We'll fight them on the streets. We will never surrender. We will never surrender. And our young men, of a generation of young men and women, but mainly men because of the sexism at the time, went out and lost their lives, sacrificed their lives so that I could live in freedom, so that I could have choice and go to school. See, it's going to make me emotional now. Like, I didn't meet those people. They would have been my great-grandfather, my grandfather's generation. His brother, like my nan had 9 brothers. I nursed my nan in her last years, yeah? She had 9 brothers. I never met any of them because they all died in the war. Sorry, I'm getting emotional because I feel emotional about my cat, and talking like this makes me emotional. And this is where I feel we've got a deep connection. The people who voted for Brexit, different to me. The people who didn't like the lockdown or, anti this or whatever, maybe different from me. But I didn't love Boris because of my British heart. I saw through Boris and thought, you're using my British heart against me, you evil person. But I have the same British heart. You will understand when I've given that impassioned speech about these people who've sacrificed for us. So with the lockdown and stuff, right, with the COVID, it felt to me in a way like I don't know how to explain this properly, but I've been waiting for an opportunity. I remember once I went to therapy. I used to go to a therapist and talk about my feelings, and it really helped. And I said to the therapist, this is a weird one. I said, like, we were talking about films or something random, and I was like, zombies. And I was like, do you know what? I'd actually like it if the world went zombie. This was before COVID. I was like it if the world went zombie, right? And she was like, why would you like that? Everyone would be zombies and you'd have to fight for survival. And I'd be like, yeah, but I could take a stand. I could be righteous and honest and good and care for the people around me and go out bashing heads. Like, I'd be out there with a cricket bat bashing heads and sharing medicine. I'd have an opportunity not to be like Superman, but to live like an honest and brave person and not restricted by the social systems and not like made to work in McDonald's. And, my heart would be, like my qualities would be given an opportunity to shine. I just saw it as an opportunity. Same thing with COVID, and the same thing with the wartime spirit. COVID was like our war in a way. And for some of us, it was an opportunity to dig deep, to dig in, to share, to love, to make sure that we kept in touch, to go through hard times. Absolutely. Like my nan lived on rations. She didn't have to ration through COVID. We made sure she had lovely dinners. She didn't have to ration. She didn't want to go out. She's old. She's 90 something. You know what I mean? But we were there with her. There was an opportunity there as well as a shame. So I got to spend Nan's last years with her. More often than not, like, fucking sat with her watching that challenge TV she liked to watch. But do you know what I mean? Like, there was something in it. There was a wartime spirit for me, and maybe it's because I was with my nan who lived through the war. But we brought a lot of that out. That's what being British is. It's not being bowed by those things. It's not allowing them to destroy us. It's fighting through them and pulling together. And that pulling together during the Second World War, it involved people from Burma and India and Jamaica sacrificing their lives so that we could go to school and live. It involved everyone from the British Empire all across the world. Like France had fallen, but we still had Indians that wanted to fight for us. Like we still had Pakistanis that wanted to stand up and be counted. We still had people from countries that used to be slave trade, islands off in America. Like eventually America came to help us and eventually helped us win. But you know what I mean? Like we had all these people from everywhere all over the world helping us because that's what we are. That's what British means. You eat curry and you listen to reggae and you're British. We can talk about the vaccine stuff maybe at another time because I'm getting quite political and quite deep here, but maybe it will come up. I'd like to just make it clear though, there are pros and cons to both. Obviously in the past vaccination has been our way out of pandemic and polio and other things. We'd rather have a vaccine. I've had multiple vaccines when I was a kid, thank you very much. It did seem strange in hindsight now to be allowing this financial interest to overtake what might have been the right choice for vaccination. Maybe we could have had a better quality of vaccine or a more traditional vaccine in a way that didn't do the mRNA, and all the questions about mRNA are now up in the air, aren't they? Like, I can understand people's point of view there, but for me, same thing as the war, it came down to, I don't have all the answers here. I don't have all the facts. There's a vaccine and there's a way out and lots of people are doing it. And if it had been the war, it would have been the same as, will you sign up and go in the army for me? I don't know. It's a big risk. Everyone else is doing it, but I'm scared. So those weren't reasons not to do it or to do it. In the end, I did it for the love of my relatives, for the love of my country, for the love of my neighbours. So I went and had, for me, having the jab was a bit like signing up for the war. I agree with you in chat, some of the point that was made there, about worrying about it. The heart issues thing, I don't know if, again, you see, got to be careful. Just because there were all those other things doesn't mean that the heart issues thing is a guaranteed nailed on now. We can't say that. We definitely can't say that. And there's a lot of media. Remember, the same people who wanted people to vote for Brexit and do this and do that, the media pushes these agendas and you think that you're getting the real deal from the subculture, from not the mainstream media, from the people that attack the mainstream media are giving you the real deal. But actually, they're being fed ideas from the right wing as well. Like, they can infect that. Boris Johnson and his mates have got call centres in India doing fake profiles to infect that. So you've got to be careful with what you know these days. And you just got to be careful. Yeah, I'm not going to say because this, therefore that and this. Like, I just be much more careful with that. And again, the idea is that I just want to say this as well. The idea is that let's say for example, the vaccine caused problems and it caused your head to explode, and people are starting now to have their heads explode, right? Obviously that's not happening, so it's a good example. Heads exploding all over the place. And then they say, right, why did you do this, X, Y, Z? Did you want, like, some people are going to say they're making people's heads explode because they want you to have your head explode. They're going to say it was deliberate. But other people, me, more often is the way I think about this, is that they didn't give a fuck about whether your head exploded or not. They wanted loads of money. So they got the vaccine out there, they took the money, and then later on people's heads are exploding. They're like, do you know what? Fuck you, I've got the money now. So they didn't know, they weren't doing it deliberately in my mind, even if people's heads did explode. I would have thought at that point in the pandemic, there's a lot of pressure on a lot of people, and someone is stood there saying, you know what? I can leverage this and I can make fucking loads of money. Someone might have said to them, people's heads might explode, and they might go, so? And like, anyone else got any better ideas? Let's get on with it then. there's, you know, lots of different ideas going on there. Lots of different ideas. So you're chatting about it in chat as well. I don't want to turn that into this. I'll tell you what it'll do. It'll write me off the internet eventually, because eventually with enough stuff said in chat and me saying it out loud, we'll get written off the internet, won't we, talking about this topic. And unless there's some big changes that are going to happen and some, you know, some big new news, it's done. Our decisions have been made, the die has been cast, and we live on now for the next 40 years, or however we've got left. I don't know how old you are in chat, but, you know, I'm lucky to get another 40 out of me, I'm thinking. It won't make much of a shit of difference to you either way, because we're all in it together now. Like, let's just get on with living day at a time and enjoy ourselves. I can't bring down the powers. I can't change the past. And I just made my decisions in the heat of the moment with the best love I've got in my heart at the time. And so did everyone else as well. This is the thing. So did everyone else. So if someone back then, I'd have said if you didn't take the vaccine, you were letting us all down. But today, I don't think that. I just think everyone made their choices. We're by it, past it now. I'd rather just enjoy my time with people and love them than hate them for things that have happened in the past.
Including hairdressers, pubs, etc. Anyway, yeah, it's I just remember the time when we all were told to stay in and become hermits, and thinking, what the heck?
I was already a hermit beforehand, though. I've already got myself. I was enjoying playing on the internet and staying in a lot already before that. So
That's my polite version. Anyway, yeah. So, thoughts on the lockdown?
I just give them. Saying about losing the jobs for refusing to be vaccinated. It was a tough decision at a tough time. There were certain jobs where you couldn't work in them if you weren't vaccinated because of the situation. So like again, I think it's less about individuals there and the plight of an individual, but more about a bigger system. Like the people who work in hospitals needed to be vaccinated. Like I didn't disagree with that. Obviously, I don't want people to lose their jobs if they refuse vaccines. But at the same time, like, you know, if you're going to be working in this situation with all this disease around, you're required to have this vaccine. I just think that made sense. So hindsight's a wonderful thing, I suppose. Who knows these days? But yeah, it's bringing up a bit of the past there, isn't it? And I think we've all been able to, even if we disagree on certain things, I think we've all been able to move through it and past it in a way, haven't we? So whilst we still want people to be held to account for the truths, and I still think, you know, the way we look back at the war and people have never stopped talking about the war, I think our generation and the generation that are born in and through that are going to have a lot to say about it and a lot to investigate. And I think just as I'm reaching my retirement, there'll be young people that are making important and informed documentaries, and more of truths are coming out. So I think we can just be careful about what we do and say now, and just make sure to love our neighbour, because if you don't love your neighbours because of their opinion on a mask or their thoughts on this Brexit or because of the football team they support, then we're being divided and we're going against each other, and that's ridiculous. So and again, more details in chat. I would say now we know it doesn't stop transmission and stuff like that. Like we know and we don't know certain things, and like we take certain things for granted because they, like, what you think you know is just information that you've been served through the media or through the subset or the alternative media or the same publications from the medical world that you were using to support your case are used by the other side. You know, publications from the medical world to against their case. It's all like information, isn't it? As much whatever you believe and don't believe. Like it's all information that you choose to believe and not believe. So I'm not going to get too deep into. I don't know. Again, in the same way as with the Nicola Bulley stuff, if I can see it on video, on fact, if I can see the facts, I'll stick to them. But the facts I can't know and not sure, I'm not going to stick to. But yeah, Karen next.
Hi, Scotty,
Hello.
and all the chuffers out there, including myself. Thanks for all the work you do. Jesus is alive. Amen. Sunday service. And the Lord bless you and keep you always. Amen.
May the Lord bless you and keep you and make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you forever and ever. Always and forever. Amen. Paula.
Hi, so I was just wondering, like, when did you become vegan, and like, what made you become vegan?
That's a nice question, isn't it? That's a much nicer question. And that's the question. So, thankfully, now we can talk about something that's not political that we can all agree on. Veganism. But yeah, on my channel, your channel, this Sunday service is running on a lot longer than I thought it was now, so we're probably not going to watch that video. We'll have to save that for another time. We're probably just going to do the questions. But if you go to the other channels and you look at Battery Exhausted, my vegan journey on Battery Exhausted is kind of documented in a way on the videos. Like, I wasn't vegan and then I became vegan, and when you become vegan you have to start talking about it and doing internet things about it. So I started doing vegan videos about 7 years ago. Yeah, I wasn't vegan when I went to Rome, and I became vegan after I came back from Rome, I think. So, or around that time, I went to the Evesham Vegan Fair and stuff like that. So let's have a look at some vegans in the background while I talk about vegans. That's me, old me, vegans. Yeah, so I'd been exposed to veganism. I'd actually dated someone who was a vegan, and I was all like, oh, you know, I go out and get pheasants, and I'm a hairdresser, and I work in I'm a hairdresser in my local town. I go past the butcher on my way home and buy myself some chops. And I was all about carnivorism and all that. And I think what it came down to was a number of factors. One, I lost my beloved Ruby, the dog. She died, and that upset me. In fact, when did I do Warm Face? Did I do Warm Face before or after that? It'll be before, wouldn't it? There's Reading with Ruby. I didn't lose her, like, she died, we had to take her to be put down. A bit like what's going on with the cat now. Yeah, Warm Face is there, song I wrote for the dog. So losing the dog and going through that, you know, I knew deep down in my soul, like we all know deep down in our soul, I believe, that these animals are independent, they have their own lives, they have their own thoughts and feelings, they don't want to die. Mainly, they don't want to die. And the factory farming, whether, you know, you're... Sawyer, did I like the song I sent you? I'll have to have a look. Yeah, knowing that I knew all these things deep down in my heart, and then the factory farming and all that, you know, you'd say, oh, I want to go organic so they can have a good life, or, you know, I only get line caught so that they're not factory farmed, and, you know, so you're on the way there anyway. I think it's all a process, and part of it is a mental process, and part of the mental process is losing this cognitive dissonance. I love animals, but I'll kill them and eat them. Like, you know, losing that cognitive dissonance. I'm a hunter-gatherer, therefore I should be able to kill and eat everything I like, but, like, it would be insane for me to just kill and eat a person. And I don't have to do any hunting necessarily. I can just do the gathering. Like there's a lot of reasons why veganism makes sense. And then, so I was then hanging out with vegans. I was dating a vegan. This is a different vegan now at this point in my life. And I'd gone through the trauma of losing a beloved animal. And the more and more I just saw animals in that way, the less and less I felt like eating them. And so I just became a vegan, yeah. And it was really easy as well, because I was transitioning by exploring and enjoying. So going to vegan fairs, going to vegan supermarkets, being involved in the vegan community online. Yeah, I think that was like a really good thing. And like little things as well, like, oh, I clicked on an advert there, whoops. Like this thing about SeaWorld and orcas and stuff like that, you know, they're not going to breed any more captive orcas. Like, I agree with all that sort of stuff. Like, that's not because I'm vegan, I've always felt like that. So, like, it all then started to come together a bit more and tie in. You know, the animals that are kept in captivity like that, the Blackfish documentary. There was a lot of other media going on as well that I suppose I was seeing, and it all was feeding in. So in the end, I became a vegan, yeah. It was a transition as well. It's a process. You don't have to do it overnight. You can do it as part of a process. So everyone's on a journey. Yeah. Fiona, again.
Hi Scott, it's Fiona again. Just to say, unfortunately I won't be able to be with you on the live because I'm going to be with my kids
Good for you, Fiona. Have a good time. I don't know why I'm listening to all your bloody messages then.
celebrating Mother's Day. Might catch you on the replay. Anyway, have a great day. Bye.
You should catch me on the replay because you left me another 2 messages.
Hi Scott, it's me again. On a somber note, it's so tragic that today on Mother's Day, those two little girls are without their mum.
Bringing the
Age
tone
6
down
and
now.
9, I think their ages are.
Well, not
I
down,
mean,
but
primary school, the teachers normally make things with the kids for their mums,
oh god, yeah.
cards or trinkets, etc. I just can't bear thinking about those poor girls
No, it's
today.
harsh. Yeah.
Because it's an age where they love their mums.
I'm going to pause that there because it is a bit harsh, and I don't want to go too far down that road because it is. Everyone loves their mum and needs their mum and wants their mum, you know. And we all have a different amount of time with them. It just is the world, isn't it? Yeah. What's your next message, Fiona?
So what's everyone doing for Mother's Day today then, huh?
Watching this show.
I'm sat here drinking a lovely herbal tea.
Good
chilling
question.
with my cats.
What are you doing
My
in chat?
youngest is still in bed. Elsa Pre. We're going to cinema later and some yummy food. And I'm going out for a walk with a group that I walk with in the morning.
Make sure they don't go too close to the river. I hear the banks are slippy this time of year.
Some lovely ladies, which will be nice, weather permitting. And so hope everyone does have a nice Mother's Day today. Take care, guys.
This carries on now for another 15 seconds, Fiona. Are you? I think she's done. Oh no!
And my phone, if there's a pause, my phone keeps freezing just when I have to press the stop button on record.
No worries, Fiona. Thank you for all your lovely messages. You've made the show today. It's been quite interesting talking about those things. Although I give myself this disclaimer as well. I can get, what I'm like. You're watching, everyone that's watching, you know what I'm like. I can get on my little horse about things, and say my feelings and thoughts, and get quite deep into things and have a good dig. And I think I've made it clear throughout today that I don't want to end up losing friends because of political conversations. I think that's a real shame. And one of the features as well, right? If you go on the channels, good chance to shill for myself again. Going on the old chuffers here, Super Chuffer. I've done a playlist about conspiracy theories. It's the Tartaria playlist, Tartaria Uncovered. There's this conspiracy theory that the world was covered in mud and history is a lie and stuff like this. It's the same people who did the Flat Earth conspiracy theories. And the reason they're doing it, in my opinion, is because Flat Earth was a big trend and then it wasn't a trend anymore. People got that, put that in the bin. And then, literally, in the few years ago, Flat Earth was kind of a big trend. It was on the Holly and Philip in the morning talking about it. People were saying they believed it. So that became a big trend and then it went off. And now YouTube doesn't like it. They put Flat Earth in the bin all the time. So they need something else that they can move on to. These people that were making money on YouTube for doing videos about Flat Earth. And the new thing they've come on to is that history's a lie and everything was buried in mud. So I made some of these videos. We can speak about Flat Earth, absolutely, we can do all sorts of conversations. I'm not down with that myself. I think it's provable that the Earth isn't flat. I think I've seen the evidence myself with my own eyes. And I don't agree with this mud flood idea as well, because some of the evidence they put up is really rubbish. So I do what I did with the CCTV. I look at it, I watch your video. If you show me your pictures on this thing, not you in chat, but these people, then I watch it and I look at it and I say, well, this is what I think about it. So the thing about this, though, is at the end of it, I'm not angry at all the Flat Earth people. I'm not angry at all the mud flood people. What I think is they're being confused by some funny ideas. So we can actually be friends and get on. And I've got room in my heart to sort of offer a better alternative. Stop letting them chuffers confuse you and come and watch my show instead. I went on a bit of a ramble there. But my point is, if we do get on about politics or ideas, at the end of it, I feel like it's important what we do here is to help bring people together, not drive them apart. So we're not always going to agree. We're not always going to have the same opinion. And if I haven't today, and if I voiced a different opinion than yours, that's fine. And it doesn't mean you unsubscribe or anything. In fact, more likely you should subscribe, because I'm going to play your voices on the show and I'm going to listen to you and give you a chance to speak. And if people have got things they want me to investigate further, I will investigate them further. And I'm open-minded. That's why we're doing the paranormal stuff. That's why we're looking at it's mainly going to be stuff that I don't actually necessarily believe, isn't it? Because otherwise it wouldn't be counted to my opinion. But on the lives, we recently had Indrid Cold from America, who came to talk to us about spirits, aliens and cryptids in America, and she's going to be back to talk about stuff. So I'm open We did the tarot stuff. We're looking at tarot decks and cards. Like, you know, I'm open-minded. And for the people who think it's all rubbish, fair enough. You know, I'll look at it all. It might turn out not to be like anything big in my life, and I might not be like, you know, doing any, like, I might not be gifted as a psychic. You know, it might be rubbish. Like, let's have a look. Do you know what I mean? Let's have a look. So I think that's a good thing that I've said there. I think that makes sense. I hope that we're not getting in any tizzies.
Is the chances of this being
This is Gandalf. This is Gandalf.
base reality is only 1 in billions, then surely whatever created this must have created us, and we didn't evolve from any other living species.
Okay, so I do get what Gandalf's throwing me a real curveball there. If the chances of this being 1 in billions, like there's an idea that we could be a simulation or something. Let me just play again and get my ideas in my head.
What do you think about that, mate? If the chances of this being base reality is only 1 in billions, then surely whatever created this must have created us, and we didn't evolve from any other living species. What do you think about that, mate?
Okay, so we're talking about like creationism versus evolution based on probabilities. Okay, interesting. Just wanted to pick up these tippies that I didn't pick up before from What the Hen. Thank you for the laughs yesterday. Love the Boris Carey impression. That just came out. And the young chuffers German girl with the Tash Love Bite story. I'm unique in the world of bullshit. Don't change too much when I hit big time. Thanks. For me, we are already big time. I know we've got a way to go. I want to put another 0 on the end of the views. You know, I want to go from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. But I don't need millions. Like, I'll be happy at that. I don't have like this big inflated like sense of I'm Logan Paul or anything. I just, you know, all I want to do is make a fair whack on good content, you know, get my fair shake, and hopefully with that bring in other people, get more voices, maybe build a bit of a team so I can share in that success with other people. So if I can gain success, I can give other people success. That's the idea. Yeah, so are we created or are we evolved? The thing is, right, I think it might even be both. Like, this is going to just, again, this is just like random talk now, isn't it? So, but I think it might even be both. Like, without being strict to any particular religious doctrine, I can see there could be a hand of a creator. And the way I see things being created in our world is through iterative process. So you create something and then you do it again and then you do it again, and every time you do it, it gets sharper and in focus or better, or, you know, you run faster, you throw further, you draw better, you design, you iterate on the design, you make another design on top. The way that we've got everything that we have today, all our technologies and all our wondrous things, is because of we've gone from bashing rocks together and then learning about metallurgy and, you know, ideas on top of ideas on top of ideas. So if I were to be, like, let's say for example I was DNA manipulative, like if I could mess with DNA with magic or something, yeah, then I wouldn't just produce a human being, bang. I'd have to start with getting together the singular celled organisms, the processes, the heat, the light, you know, you have to start with all that bigger stuff, the bigger meta picture first, I suppose, wouldn't you? Or maybe they're your maybe that's your palette, heat, light, planetary forces, whatever. And you'd still have to start with these single cell, you know, you'd have to have them develop and evolve. I often wonder about the predatory in evolution, like the predatory aspect. Thank you very much for the £3, Lindy Lou. Fist bump for the veganism. What's the purpose of our lives, Sue asks. I'll tell you, I can answer that one much more simply. I'll get back to that. But yeah, whether we are evolved or what have you. Anyway, Omi's woken up. You all right, son? Mom says she thinks you're going to survive another couple of days. She thinks I'm being a bit melodramatic because I'm seeing you fade and I'm not enjoying it and not watching it, having fun. But you're all right, ain't you, son? If you want to go out, now's a good time to go out while it's still light, because I'll let you back in and out. You'll be fine. I'll find you if you run off. So you'd have to iterate, and you would probably, like, evolution would probably still happen. Like, you could even consider, in the way that we set up dominoes and then like knock them over and you watch it all go, the hand of a creator could actually lay the foundations and the framework and then just like watch it happen. They might not have full control over every decision tree, but they might understand where the decision tree will take them. So a bit maybe like a computer program when you press play almost as well. Lots of different ideas here that I'm, talking as analogies, but I don't necessarily think, I think as me, my little place in the world, or equally, you could have a fantastic, wonderful God that could create it into being with a click of the fingers. Or in Islam, they say first it was written, and that God knows and has made the plan, and then it all sort of plans itself out and plays itself out. The general principle, I would say. Do you want to go out, Holmes? You little wobbly. He's going into the kitchen. Hopefully, he'll find some food in there that he wants to eat. So the thing is, as much as I can have these ideas and thoughts and concepts, ultimately we are here for a short time on this earth. We know that. We're guaranteed. We know that. Yeah, we're here for a short time on this earth. We're at a point in human civilization where we have a grasp of what's going on around us, physics, biology, chemistry. You can get a grasp of it, but we're not at a point where we can ask much, much bigger questions. We're asking them, we can't answer them, maybe. We're getting to some limits based on technology, based on, in 100 years, we would hope we'd answer more questions and go further. But even then, I don't think we'll ever find out. We're able to go forward, but going back is very difficult. So finding out the answers, who's, why's, what you believe, it's always going to come down to some aspect of faith. And either you have faith or you don't, or you care or you don't. And whatever means something to you in your life that you've come to those conclusions is your answer. But how do I explain this? Whether it matters or not is more important. Whether it serves you is a question I often ask. With the conspiracy theory world, I often ask, does it serve you? Are you making friends through these conspiracy theories, or are you losing friends? Are you having arguments in the pub? Are you becoming antisocial and distant? Are you involved in family times? And when you have all these conspiracy theories going on, going back to the conspiracy theory stuff, it separates you from your family and your friends because they don't agree with you. All the COVID stuff caused so many arguments and things like that. Same with this sort of stuff. I think how well does it serve you? Often religions in the past have been used to control people, but today in a more secular society, they can be a great source of comfort. The most important thing for me is how do we serve each other as well? Like whether it's dog eat dog and nothing matters, or whether you're building up your good boy points for a place in heaven, I can't answer that. But I do know that it matters to me on a day-to-day level whether people hate me for being a chuffer or the people I care about are doing well and successful and happy. I want people to be happy. I care about them, and I would hope that people care about me, I suppose. So what all that comes down to, and going back to Sue's question of what's the purpose in life, I think everyone's got a slightly different purpose. We're only here for a short time, remember? So we're not going to fix everyone's problem. We're not going to win the world. We're not all going to be Elon Musk. We're not going to, even if Elon Musk is successful, he himself won't be stepping foot on Mars in a time hurry, will he? He's not going to be there quick. Even his great goal of getting a rocket to Mars might not be achievable in his lifetime. Sometimes we're just part of the process. And the reason we have what we have now is because those people before us did their sacrifices and had their ideas and went through the history of what became us. So our purpose is to be a part in that process, to be a drop of rain in the storm, to be to be the river, the wind, to be part of that process, to help everyone else along. I tell you what's really important, you need to be happy and you need to have a good sense of your own satisfaction in your own life, and it might come through work or purpose of duty, or it might come through creativity or painting or music, or you need to have that in your life, your thing that you like doing and that you're moving forward with. But at some point it all comes to a stop for us. We all go through that, and so I feel that I'd like to think that I've helped the world be better, and that through my movement within it, you know, my little energy in the wave is helping others to share that happiness and to feel better. So my purpose in life is to like put an arm around people and say, you're okay. You know, is everything all right there? Like when I see it. It's also to make myself happy, you know, and to action out my dreams, my goals, to have fun, you know, all this stuff. Red flagging Elon Musk, but it was just an example. And just to do my best. I remember I do my duty to God and to the Queen to keep the Cub Scout law. You know, I promise I will do my best. Yeah. That's what I think it's really simple when it comes down to it as humans, because when we come back to that idea about animals that I was talking about earlier, you know, we're not so different. We're just like much, much cleverer. But octopuses are about as clever as us. I don't know. I think it's important that we, you know, it comes down to basic things, doesn't it? We're warm, we're fed, we've got a smile on our faces. The people we care about us, and we see them and talk to them and interact. Going back to the lockdown conversation we had earlier, you know, the thing that we all missed the most was each other. And I remember a lot of people saying, you know, after lockdown finished, it's not that I got to go out and do X, Y, Z, but more importantly, I got to go and see X, Y, Z. So I think that's important as well. Yeah, my purpose in life is to create happiness, to live happiness and be part of joy. If not, then the other option is pretty horrible and pretty harsh, and I can't live that way. It does my head in. So, yeah, that's my feelings on that. Interesting question. Gandalf, I don't have the answer about the probabilities and whether a god does or does not exist, but I trust and believe in righteousness and faith and honour and duty and, you know, I guess that's all I can do. Yeah. Julie next.
Hello, you old chuffer. It's Julie here. As it's a bit of an old free-for-all today on the Sunday service, I just wanted to ask you a question. How many genders are there?
I would love to do this as a series of videos. I can't answer this because I'll tell you for why. Is I've got a little winker. Not a little one, a normal size one. You chuffer. Why did I say that? Now everyone's going to think, oh, why did I say that? I just wanted to sound like a little boy. You know, little boy. I've got a little Willy. Not be rude, not be crude. Got a little Willy winker. It's all right. It's normal size. Quite big. It's quite big. It's not massive like on those videos that we watch. We all watch them. You've all seen them. It's not massive like those on those videos we watch. It's not this. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, I do all right for myself. Anyway, the question was, how many genders are there? The thing is, right, to answer this, what I need people who are going through these issues, transgenderism, to talk to me and explain how they feel. I want someone who's pre-op, post-op. You know, I need to listen to them, don't I? I can't tell you. I know that there's definitely male and female and that there's biological gender. Like, and I understand these arguments. I'll tell you what I do on Twitter, right? This is probably going to be really bad and get me binned off the internet now, so I've got to be careful. But Graham Linehan, do you remember Graham Linehan? Right? Graham Linehan used to be a very funny man. He used to write the IT Crowd and Father Ted. And he was very funny. He was very funny, Graham Linehan, very funny. And now what he does is he's on the internet and he's very angry about transgenderism and about people who choose to pretend to be transgender in order to get beneficial treatment in society. So you've got this whole argument here right now. You've got this whole argument going on now. Sorry, I'm just opening this up. Right. So transphobia and Nazis have no place in Melbourne. How are we even debating this in 2023 is indeed the problem. I stand in solidarity with the trans community. And he said, another bearded misogynist creep, only just avoiding the word feminazis. Like, it's all this sort of stuff, isn't it? We're on internet speak. We've got internet terms. We've got like TERF and feminazi. And what it is that politics again. And I'll tell you what it is as well. It's the politics that's being paid for and fed onto the top page, not only by people that are interested and want to share this and post this, but paid for and pushed up there by people who've got a lot of money to push this agenda. And what happens is the way where it comes from, like, I know these facts. My opinions on gender, we will get to in a minute, but my understanding of politics is not questionable. I know this to be fact. In America, you've got the evangelical right wing. They're the big Christians. And I say the name of the Lord did say to me on Sunday, come down to me on Sunday service and give me your heart and your money. And Jesus did say to you. And, you know, the Bible Belt and all that, yeah? Like, Christianity is quite important. Donald Trump needed the evangelical vote. They make a big sway. They carry a lot of clout. They got a lot of money. And they're big in America. So those people believe that the earth was just like invented overnight by God, and those people believe that a man should be a man, a woman should be a woman, and that you shouldn't like X, Y, Z, and you know, those people believe that evolution doesn't exist and they shouldn't teach it in schools, and those people think that transgenderism is the coming of end times, like Tyson Fury said. So it's from an old school American religious perspective, and they've got a lot of money, and what they do with that money is, for example, they lobby the government in America. They pay for people like Donald Trump, or, you know, you agree with them and put their ideas to the fore. Like, you know, all this abortion stuff that's going on in America, all those conversations. Who's having those conversations? The religious people, aren't they? They're fueling those ideas. It's not that in America, like, abortion is top of the problem list. That's not top problem in America, is it? Like, you've got gun crime and poverty and all this other stuff. Like, top problem, though, that they talk about and everyone's getting in a tizzy. Now it's this. No, it's whether, like, imagine how many people, I want you to think about this, right? How many people in our country are struggling with transgenderism? I wonder how many are struggling with, like, how many? As a percentage of the population. Is it a big number or a small number? Okay? How many people are struggling with, like, poverty or underfunded services? Or, you know what I mean? Big number or small number? How many people are struggling with, like, you know, take a different tack, like an illness that hasn't been treated yet because of the NHS backlog or stuff like that. And then you've got how many people are dealing with transgenderism. I think it's important that the people who are dealing with transgenderism get a fair shout and have the resources and stuff like that. If it's an easily fixable small number thing, we could throw money at that and fix it quicker. Probably easier than fixing cancer and waiting lists, in a way. But also, I think it's strange that people are very angry and have got a lot to say about it. And people that don't have transgender issues in their own life and not going through those struggles have got a lot to say about it, right? Which is strange to me because, like, where are your priorities in this conversation? They seem to be fed to you by the American right wing. Because those religious groups, this is high on their priorities list. It's not high on my I didn't wake up the other day and think, wonder about these trans people and what's going on with this needs to be sorted out. Right? Let me give you an example about the toilets. I do understand that you don't want some creepy man dressed as a woman pretending to be like a woman and going into the toilets. Yeah, I do understand that. I'm going down Glinner's Twitter here because he posts, like, wherever people are posting their trans things, he posts these, like, you know, repost them and quite often he's got examples of, like, creepy men who are going in the toilets. Like, if you find a creepy man going in the toilets, well, there's Sam Smith, there's a better example. If you find a creepy man going in the toilets, he's got a picture of it and it's on his Twitter, yeah? So, anyway, that's enough of that. The amount of creepy men that are getting prison's another one, prison treatment, preferential treatment in prison, stuff like that. The amount of them that, we'll come on to those, right? Again, it's a very, very small number of people in our society. It needs fixing. It could be a loophole, so it needs fixing. But we've got problems. One, you can't be the thought police. If I tell you I believe I'm a woman inside, you can't police that because it's what's inside my mind. Unpoliceable in that way. So I don't like the concept of hate crime. You know, someone stabbed someone because they don't like their race. That's worse than if they just stabbed them, apparently. For me, it's the result that's worse. Being stabbed. So I haven't got much time for people dressing up as women thinking they're getting better social preference, yeah? Going in the ladies, being a creep. I haven't got any time for that. At the same time, there are people who I believe, feel like they're a woman in every aspect. Like they've got, I know that biologically, if we want to talk about biology, you can have like a biologically female brain, maybe. I say I know this, I think it maybe is something that I've learned. I think it's possible that you might, you have, as someone said in chat, people born like hermaphrodites, and you have people who are born slightly differently in lots of ways, biologically, physically. Your brain is part of that. I'm open to the idea that someone could think in their mind, they could feel that they're a woman, and they could look down at their body and see a male body, or the other way around. I'm completely open-minded to that, and if that's your struggle, then we should help you. And if there are ways that we can be making your life more comfortable, if you want to have cosmetic surgery, at the end of the day, these days people have cosmetic surgery. Like, have you seen what Simon Cowell's done to his face? So if you think someone else can't chop off their wodger, like, welcome to the world, mate. Like, people can do what they want with cosmetic surgery. It's totally up to them. And to think that I would say that you can't chop off your wodger and Simon Cowell's allowed to do his face, that seems weird. So yeah, I'm totally down with it all. The problem is we can't thought police it. So you end up throwing the baby out with the bathwater if you say we're not allowing anyone that was born a male to go in the women's changing rooms, even if they've had a transition or they're wearing a wig or whatever. They can't go in. No. Then but what about the people who are legit trans, and how do I know they're not legit trans? Well, you can't tell me they're not legit trans because you can't thought police it. No one can thought police other people. So I've got to respect people's ideas and opinions, and what they tell me of their own truth I have to in some way respect. Yeah, so like I would do with you. So my solution to it all, and it's quite a simple solution really, is you've got the ladies' toilets, the men's toilets, and then you've got like the one person at a time toilet for problematic cases. Sorry if you're trans and I've just described you as a problematic case, but you know what I mean. Like, isn't it easier just to like create like the communal toilet that everyone uses, the one that only women can go in if they're scared it's only women, the one that only men can go in if they only want to have a big smelly man toilet, and then like we have the disabled toilet. Like, can't we just have facilities for everyone? And like with prisons as well, right? Check this out for the prisons, right? So if you've done a bad crime and you're a man and you want to be housed with the women, so you pretend to be a woman, that's bad, isn't it? You shouldn't be allowed to do that. And the women are like, oh, we don't want to be in here with the rapists and the bad men. Like, that's fine, isn't it? Yeah. So I agree with that. So just put them in their own prison then. Like, just solitary for you. Or like, if you've done bad crimes, I don't have much care about whether you're in with women or men. Just put them in the solitary bit then. Put them on the, the one person cell out in the yard on your own. Like, you've done bad crimes, you're in prison. Like, I've got less time for worrying about whether you get to mix with the rest of the population of prison. And if you're in the population of prison, you're complaining about who you're housed with, then you shouldn't go in prison. That's what prison is. Getting housed with bad people. So yeah, I don't like that. You've got 14 girls. You hate the fact a guy can use the restroom because they say they feel like a woman. Well, the problem is it's I understand what you're saying, but it's like there are trans people who you would be finding, they are women, like indistinguishable, have gone through the process. I think that for me to be able to talk about that, I can't talk about that even. I think the best person to talk about that is someone who's gone through or going through that process. So it's unfair of me as someone who's born this way. It's kind of like me, I want to pick on certain disabilities in a way, but I don't want to pick on disabilities. But you know what I mean? It's kind of like me saying stuff about someone with Down syndrome, what they should and shouldn't think and feel, when I don't have Down syndrome, so let them tell me. It's kind of like how patriarchy works, where men tell women what they should think and feel. Well, I'm not a woman, so I shouldn't tell you what to think and feel. You should tell me. And in the same way, I understand totally that there are some outlier cases here where people are taking advantage of the system, but the whole reason we have the system is because there are other cases where they're legit people who their experience of the world, and as far as I can ascertain through their actions and everything they've said, their perception of the world and their position within it is that they are in the wrong, like it's like they've got in the wrong car, they're in the wrong body and they don't feel right. How can I say that that's not right? I just can't say that. I can't tell them their feelings and thoughts. So You look at some of them though, like I said, you look at some of them, you think, right, you're on your way to prison, and you're like, you know, you've done 6 armed robberies, and now you're going to transition. It seems a bit convenient, you know. Like there are some of them that are even doing like weird, creepy sex stuff, so that is an issue. We need to get on top of that, you know. There shouldn't be loopholes necessarily, but like they're both problematic conversations, aren't they? They're both difficult. In the same way as I can't police people's thoughts. The question was, how many genders are there? And biologically, theoretically, there's 2, aren't there? But then there's 3, aren't there? You could have gender neutral. I'm here for the boys and girls and the gender neutral. I'm future. I'm crucial. You need me to defeat the evil, like Mr. Robot, a Fight Club fan. I told you, they don't know about my right hand. Or the real G uppercut. I told you, I don't give a fuck. Our poor girls don't pull no punches. Pull them up like the Bullingdon lunch. Smash them up like the Bullingdon lunches. Tell me what you know about crunches. Tony Harrison and Mighty Bushes. Line them up. Line of slooshes. Like Big Nasty, find a place in your uses. Truth is, I'm a revelation, need revolution for a generation of roots and future. They call me Roots and Culture, or MC Strafe. Intersex or something. I don't know. Like, well, I'll tell you what, do you want the answer? Why the fuck have you asked me? What do I know? Tell you what, when I was a kid, my dad said this to me. He said, listen, half the people in the world have got willies, and half the people in the world have got fannies. And then I said to him, and half the people in the world have got bums. Half the people in the world have got willies, half the people in the world have got fannies, and half the people in the world have got bums. And that's where I'll leave it at that. That's where I'll leave it at that. Since I promised it, let's have a look at this, shall we? Or should we? What do you think? Tell me in chat. Do you want this? Do you want this? I feel like we've done a decent enough go now. 2 hours and 20 minutes. We've done all we've had your messages. I think we've still got Julia. No, that was that we played you. Okay, we've done all your messages. We should probably have a look at this.
Mike Manzi, who's had his life pretty much ruined as a result of the...
hang on.
This video will cover exactly what happened to the 6 most notable creeps from Hanson vs. Predator, and we're going to begin by talking about the math tutor Mike Manzi, who's had his life pretty much ruined as a result of the I'm Chris Hansen, No You're Not episode.
So you've all seen these, haven't you? You've all seen the Get the Predator. Let me just close my windows. I've got too many windows open now. More windows than Buckingham Palace, mate. And we did make sure we kept up with the tippies, didn't we? Because I want to be grateful and show my gratitude. Yeah, we kept up with that. You work in the lingerie department in Primark. I once caught a young dude feeling the knickers. When I was like 8 years old or 7 years old, I lived in a world where the Primark catalogue was the closest thing you could get to pornography. I don't know what kids are doing these days on their mobile phones, but when I was a kid, the Primark catalogue was the closest thing you could get to pornography. And then after that, you find like a porn magazine in the woods or something, someone, an older male relative, or someone might leave a document like the Sunday Sport, like not an outright pornography, but the Sunday Sport or something, or the Sun with the page 3, and you might get your hands on that. And then you might have a video cassette, a VHS cassette, that is either passed around or duplicated, and that's quite difficult anyway, because you can't watch it in your bedroom. You've got to go on the main big telly with the VHS plugged in, and like obviously you can't just do that, so like you've got to take your chances, pick your times, and these days things are very, very different. But pornography was literally the Primark catalogue for a while, wasn't it? The Freeman's catalogue, not the Primark. Do you know what I mean? You're having a chat about gender and stuff. Interesting stuff that you're chatting about. What I would say is, of course, please don't end up having arguments and trying to prove things to each other, because none of us are going to, right? It's just interesting to share ideas. That's fine. I'm happy with it. So you're all good. Is News of the World still going? I don't know. I think they're in the bin now, aren't they? I think they're in the bin. I've forgotten what's even happening. Look, this is Chris Hansen, The Predators. So you remember The Predators on this. If you've ever seen that, maybe we should watch The Predators first. Anyway, well, this video will show us what's going on. It's a 20-minute video. It's a 12... Is it a 12-minute video? A 12-minute video, yeah? So I should be able to get through this in before it gets too late, because I want to stream Genshin Impact on the other channel in a bit. And I tell you what, concurrent viewers has died off. Started to die off since 4 p.m. It's progressively got less. So maybe it's better that we knock it on the head while, you know, we've already peaked. We've already peaked. Maybe I should save this for its own episode. What do you think? What are you saying in chat? I feel like, personally, this could be its own episode. I could do, like, it'd probably be... Sunday service has been your messages, and that made sense. You never knew this was coming. I said it was happening at the start of the episode. I'll tell you what, we'll watch one of them. The pizza guy. The pizza guy I wanted to watch. You know, I wanted to see the pizza guy, and then we can come back to it. This was my favourite one of them all anyway, so the pizza guy. Oh, an advert. You found a porn mag in the park once that was eye-opening. If you work as a roofer, then you have a regular... You buy them on the morning shift when you go in through the shell garage. You get your porn mag, and then we'll have a good look at it. And then go up the roofs, which is a bit weird, but...
Significantly more difficult for Jeff Sokol.
Snip says she's upset about the ladies' room facilities. She doesn't have a problem with trans friends, but there's an argument about adding to the ladies' room line. Yeah, we don't need more people going in the toilets, do we? We want to be able to have our own little cubicles. I can't understand in the modern world why it's just not as simple as just having like 3 or 4 extra toilets that are just individual toilets. Or you know, use the disabled one if you've got, like, if you're worried. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can go in there on your own, right? Yeah.
Significantly more difficult for Jeff Sokol, who became arguably...
Wendy says don't go yet. Okay, so we're going to watch this pizza man bit, and then we're going to see what goes on.
Significantly more difficult for Jeff Sokol, who became arguably the most notable predator in Chris Hansen history after bringing a pepperoni pizza to the Fairfield Sting House.
Right, are they going to show it? Because if they're not... Okay, they're going to show a bit of it.
The iconic episode became etched in YouTube history, as Jeff seemed so relaxed about the confrontation that he was only able to focus on his dinner.
I want to know a little bit more about you first. Can I eat first?
After Jeff spent 16 minutes demolishing his pizza, he'd offer Chris a slice on the way out.
You can take your pizza if you like. You want a slice?
We could probably do with watching the original at some point. Have you seen the pizza guy? You tell me in chat if you've seen the pizza guy. I'm trying to... My brain is starting to... I can feel my brain is starting to slow down on me in terms of, like, ability to format and move these windows and get this in the right shape for the picture. Yeah. Let's go.
And even after being taken back to the station, Jeff maintained the attitude that he hadn't done anything wrong.
He reminds me of Paul Ansel. We will do it. We'll get it out. I'll do it now, because the actual context. Pizza guy, Chris Hansen. I mean, it's a 20-minute video, this, so we don't need 20 minutes.
It's Saturday.
But you know the setup, don't you? You know, he thinks he's meeting a girl.
Let's see, and we can talk about it.
I done a murder. I'm on a work meeting, Paul Ansel.
And what are you doing here tonight, Jeff? Hanging out. Hanging out with whom? With her. Who's her?
He also looks like, if anyone knows this, he looks like Ethan Klein off the H3H3 podcast, but...
I want to know who you are.
He said, oh, no, you are. You're in the bloke's house, the girl, 13, you brought a pizza. How do they have the audacity to sit here and, like, I don't know why they don't run. Like, obviously they got a police outside ready to arrest them if they do, but, like, how do they have the audacity to sit here?
What about you first?
And, like, if it was, could you imagine if this was a normal thing and not cameras and stuff like this? I think the reason he feels comfortable is because he knows he's on film, so no one's going to attack him. But, like, if it was your house, like, wouldn't you want to, like, I'm not suggesting committing acts of violence on the internet, of course, I'm not allowed to. But, like, you know, I wouldn't be over there, stood there with my clipboard like Chris Hansen. You know, the pizza would have gone up the wall for us. I'm not going to say I expected to come around here and give her the old, you know, hee-ho. He's not saying that, is he? But he brought his pizza. He eats his pizza. He gets his questions. They have the questions. They do their show of their telly show. And then he gets arrested at the end. They all get arrested at the end as well, which is quite good. So let's pick up with him having been arrested.
According to a source who was at the station with him.
He kept his cool. He was pretty confident that he was going to be able to get out of this, be able to get a good lawyer and to really take care of his case.
Well, I mean, that's quite probably the case, right? The thing is, he's probably able to... in America, if you haven't done X, Y, Z, and you've only turned up with a pizza, and you get a good lawyer, I don't know, even in England, you'd probably be able to work that in the legal system. But it doesn't mean you're not a creepy guy who's been like on the telly now, like going after it. Like, it's even worse that you ate the pizza and like made yourself into this meme. So like, I want to know what he's doing, like where he works, and like what people think.
Jeff seemed confident that he wouldn't receive any charges. This didn't alter.
He's got the shiny back of his head, like
his reality, as after going through 3 different lawyers, he'd be sentenced to 2.5 years.
He's gone back into court. Look, that's a funny video. That's funny. Jeff's not enjoying this.
While Jeff seemed confident that he wouldn't receive any charges.
Someone's filming him, which they're quite at liberty to do.
This didn't alter his reality,
back in.
as after going through 3 different lawyers, he'd be sentenced to 2.5 years in prison beginning on the 27th of May 2017. Whilst locked up, the Jeff Sokol episode became so popular.
Hang on, how long did he do? How long did he do?
Seemed confident that he wouldn't receive any charges. This didn't alter his reality, as after going through 3 different lawyers, he'd be sentenced to 2.5 years in prison.
2.5 years or 30 months. What do you think? What do you think? It looks staged. I mean, it's all American TV. I'll tell you what, in America, I'm not dissing America here, but American TV is a bit more like turned up than British TV has been over the years, I think. We're catching up now, but it's a bit more turned up in terms of like saturation and volume and brightness and shock and stuff like that. And I think in some ways, because America's a much more new country, and because people are like, there's quite a lot of people who would like to be an actor, who would like to be a movie star, who'd like to get to Hollywood. And in America, you can literally move over to Hollywood and like literally be there. So I think there's this kind of like people act up, like they see a camera and they act up more because there's a camera, and then there's a camera and people are acting. You know, I think you get that feeling a lot, even if it's not, you know, if it's not reality TV. I think it feels a bit staged and a bit fake, because sometimes things feel a bit like that because the camera's out and people are acting like that. But I don't know if it is staged and fake. Like, I think these are real people who have gone and turned up and like tried to be a pedo. I think that's the whole concept of the show. So, but I'm definitely going to get us binned off now, aren't I? Finishing strong with pedos. But
as after going through 3 different lawyers, he'd be sentenced to
30 months. Yeah, 30 months. So I wonder, do you think 2 years, 30 months is a long enough sentence? Like, he didn't do anything literally, physically. Like, he didn't know he was talking to a decoy either. But he did do the sexy text messages, and it's like a 13-year-old. This isn't like, I mean, I used to have 13-year-olds work in the salon. They used to sweep the floor and they used to tidy up, and like I'd give them some money for the lunch. And, like, they'd bring me a McDonald's, and then I'd give them 20 quid. And, you know, like, I used to have like Saturday girls, like they're younger, like they're into, they haven't discovered, like, and in our country as well, I'm saying this, like, I'm thinking by the time I was 16, I was down the park, I was smoking, I was drinking, I was like, you know, getting in pubs. Like, it happens quick. And like, you know, these days children seem older when, how do I explain this? Like, children can seem quite grown up as they go through that, but they're not, they're still quite young in their mentality, if that makes sense. So this is well wrong. Like, he's a big hencher as well. He's not like, sometimes I'd see them on the pedo hunters that from the UK, and they're a bit like gone in the head, some of them. And you can understand why they've got a mental age of about 8, so they're approaching younger people because they couldn't hack it with a real grown-up. Like, in a way you can sort of understand, but this guy, he's just like fully, like, you know, full normal grown up on the old texts. 13-year-old girl, that sounds like a good idea. Like, what's he doing? Like, what would you don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Like, he's a proper wrong, and 30 months in jail, 2 years for me, it's not quite long enough. I don't think it's not quite long enough, because okay, he didn't do anything, literally physically do anything, but like, he turned up, didn't he? The only reason he didn't is because it was a trap. Like, I suppose you can't convict people on what they could have done, maybe. But yeah, maybe I'm wrong actually. I don't know. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard, isn't it? 13-year-old's absolutely a child, yeah. Like, but texting sex to a child is 2 years in jail. I suppose it is, isn't it? 2 years. In one way, it sounds like a lot for not doing anything physically to anyone, and in another way, it sounds like not enough for attempting to predate on children. So yeah, interesting.
2.5 years in prison beginning on the 27th of May 2017.
Good point. That's a good point. How many times did he do it before he got caught? You never know with these people, do you? You never know what else they've been up to, like what else is on their phone.
Whilst locked up, the Jeff Sokol episode became
Eat
so
the pizza.
popular that fans of the show tracked down the restaurant from which the pizza had been ordered and began to visit the restaurant asking for the exact same pizza that Jeff had gotten. The restaurant has since had hundreds of positive reviews, many of which subtly referencing the Jeff Sokol incident, and according to an email sent to us by a fan, the restaurant had to eventually ask people to stop asking for the Sokol special, although there doesn't actually seem to be any evidence for this claim. By the time Jeff was released from prison in June 2019, his appearance on the show had racked up a view count in the tens of millions, leading Jeff to try and change his name legally to...
That's the problem he's got, hasn't it? And I don't think they should allow him to do this. This is something I don't think should be allowed, because how should a sex offender be allowed to... Like, okay, I think that if you've done your crime, you serve your time, you should be able to go back into society and, you know, have a bit of a clean slate in a way. But with sex offences like this, I don't think you should be able to change your name to make it harder for people to know who you are and stuff. Because, like, how are people going to know that they're not living next door to a sex offender then? Like, that seems well wrong.
Sonny Derek Porter.
Sokol actually went to court and petitioned to change his name to Sonny Derek Porter.
A few years ago...
Someone in chat, Lottie says, will 30 months cure him? No. What then? I also think there's a non-black and white linear here that's a bit strange. Like, there's a grey area where I don't know if that guy, like, you know, he's turned... Okay, the difference is I do know, because he's turned up with the pizza, hasn't he? I was going to say I don't know if he's just texting some, you know, drunk texts and it's got out of hand. And, like, in his right mind, he's thinking, shit, why did I do that? Oh, no. But no, he's turned up with the pizza. He's not drunk and he's not, like, high or anything. He's not made a silly mistake. He's actually turned up with the pizza. So, yeah, I do know. Will 30 months cure him? Probably not, no. And, like, what happens next? Yeah, that's a good question. Like, these people need tabs keeping on them after the event. Like, you know, there are certain protections the rest of society should be afforded.
I was arrested as a part of a sting operation trying to meet a girl who was underage. The sting was part of a nationally syndicated TV show, Crime Watch Daily, Hansen vs. Predator. This episode is now...
I think a petition to change my name, like, please can I change my name legally, with this as a thing, should be like, no, but what you can do is you can fuck off. If you want, you can, like, just fuck off. Like, if you don't like that everyone knows who you are and everyone thinks you're a dirty sex pest, then maybe you can fuck off. That's an option.
Available online, along with many other troll videos and nasty comments from fans of the show. In the aftermath, I've experienced humiliation, harassment, and embarrassment. One could argue that this was justified, but I've surely lived with much remorse since the arrest. Since my current name will always be linked via a simple internet search, I'm requesting authorization to change my name. I'm working hard to be a better...
He's written all this in by hand, look, there's loads of it.
...better person overall, and making...
What kind of a nutter, like, on the form needs an extra piece of paper? Like, writing for petition to change, it's a petition, like, it's like a legal document you have to write, why would you like to change your name? And it can probably be as simple as, you know, I don't like my name, I would rather have a different name, thank you very much. Like, it's just like a legal form you have to fill out. And he's like, can I have a second piece of paper? Like, what's going on?
A sincere effort to treat everyone with respect. I hope to meet new friends.
Yeah, the thing about the dread drunk text as well, Marv Mickey, is that when I don't drink anymore, so I don't have these experiences, but when you drunk text people, usually at least they're over age. Like, he's actually, I think I was wrong in what I was saying as well, isn't it? That how's he got onto this thing? Like, the problem I didn't clock on earlier is, how's he got onto a 13-year-old in the first place? Like, who is he, where's he finding them? Like, the only ones I knew in my life were people that were related to my hairdressing business, and, like, you know, they literally, like, used to work in my shop, like I said, and, like, I wasn't texting them. I definitely wasn't texting them. Like, it seems weird, like, you know, you'd have to, like, say, can I have your number? Like, send them a little text. Like, imagine how creepy and weird it must be for a 13-year-old to get a text message off an adult, and then imagine the adult. Like, what do you even? How do they set that up? How do they frame that? Like, I don't even want to know, really, do I? Like, just like, it's the weirdest. Just, you know, happened to be looking through my phone list and thought I'd text you. Like, did you? What? Why? Leave me alone. Like, it seems like a weird. I don't think you do that even if you were drunk, so I don't think it's a fair. The drunk texting doesn't hold water, does it?
Acquaintances, and wish not to be judged based on one gigantic mistake I made a few years ago. I hope to be judged for the person I really am, the person I am today. More than anything, I would like a second chance at a happy and safe life. However, the name change was eventually rejected, which only led to more trolling. It was then discovered that Jeff had been forced to sell his apartment.
I don't think it helps, right, with Jeff. Like I said, some of them are just wrong, some of them are making bad life choices. Jeff looks like he's totally off the reservation, doesn't he? Jeff looks like he's been to the dark side of the moon. There's something about the eyes, isn't it? Something about the eyes with Jeff, isn't it? It is, isn't it? It's something about the eyes with Jeff. It's not normal, is it? Hang on, where's my? Haven't I got another one of these Firefox windows somewhere on top? Now's a good time for me to know what's going on. There we go. That's it. Isn't it, Jeff? Something about the eyes with Jeff. Something's not right here. It's not just the eyes though, it's his mouth as well. It's his weird smile that he's like, what's that mouth smile? I can't even do it. What's that mouth smile? It's strange. And then the eyes. Are they looking in the same direction, those eyes? I don't know. Jeff. Something's going on with Jeff. Yeah. Don't invite him for tea.
And according to this Reddit comment, which isn't the best evidence, Jeff moved in with his parents in blank. It seems like he comes from a pretty affluent family, so he probably just mooches from his parents and stays low key.
With that, I don't know what it'd be like. I've not, got kids that are pedos. Jesus, man. Jesus. I suppose he can't work, can he?
The most recent photo of him comes from early 2021, which unfortunately marks the final piece of information we have on Jeff Sokol.
Oh.
Because despite being one of the show's most notable people, he certainly kept one of the lowest profiles.
Well, you can see why, can't you? He did it to himself in all aspects. He turned up there to meet the child, and then when he was there, he didn't show any contrition or remorse. Like, oh my God, what have I done? I'm so sorry. He just yeah, pizza. I'll eat the pizza. Don't want to let that go to waste. You nutter. You fool nutter. Yeah. It's got the bit of the Paul Ansels about him. So I'm glad we did that. Sunday service, isn't it? Sunday. Why wouldn't we do that? And then we could probably do this. This will get me done copyright as well, won't it? If at the end of the episode it gets me done copyright and I have to cut these things out, then I'll have to cut these things out. I want the most generic, non-copyrighty one, if I can. But I guess they're all going to be copyrighty. Let's just play this one.
Bringing homes to life.
It's the Sunday service. I'll have to have a bit. Because of course copyright, but you get the gist. You get the gist. What about this? This is one of my favourite videos of all time, I think, probably.
Challenge! I nominate Matthew, Adam, Chantal. Look out. Ah! Fucking hell!
It's the old ice bucket challenge. And apparently they warmed the water up for her because they didn't want to pour cold water on her, bless her. But she says, fucking hell. Fucking hell! Challenge! I nominate.
You, Adam, Chantal.
So that's good. That's good. I watch that from time to time. Every now and then. Kind of watch that every now and then. Honestly, every now and then. It's one of my favourites. I might have saved even the odd. Let's see. Obviously, I like my own videos. I like my videos. They're good. What else do I like? I'm sure I liked a few videos that I thought we could have a little look at as well. Of a dog doing some stuff. This video is insane. Did you get that? Did you see that? Did you see that? The dog. Will the little doggy take his medicine? No, he won't take it. Look, he won't take the medicine. So look what happens to the little doggy. The dog didn't like that. The dog saw that and he didn't like it. Look, you can see the dog jump. The real dog jumps. Watch. Didn't like that. Jeez. Are you going to take the medicine? Yes, I'll eat it. That's awful, but it's funny. Isn't it? It's awful, but it's funny. Ooh, it's funny. Kind of bad, but funny. Yeah. Naughty. You have it one more time. I expect the dog is fine with taking its medicine. I expect they've just done the funny video. It's so funny, the concept. So yeah, Sunday service, what I said it would be. A bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of a laugh. We've listened to your calls. I've taken them seriously. I've exposed some of my political feelings and thoughts, but they're from the past these days, aren't they? And we can move on together in the future, and we will have. As long as we keep covering different stuff and different stuff comes up and, you know, we talk about it, we'll have times where we don't all agree, and I'll learn from you. That's the main thing I need to do, is learn from you. And if we all took that attitude, then maybe we'd get a lot, like these debates and these arguments, you know, these debates and arguments, they don't get us anywhere. Everyone's arguing, and then at the end they've got like a cross, angry. Oh, I don't like you. I've not often seen a debate on the telly. Oh, talking of that. Where's my watch later? Have I got it saved on here? Yes. Talking of that. I've not often seen a debate where everyone goes back to loving each other and having a good time at the end. I've not seen a debate like that before. This is one of my favourites from the old internet.
City Council is running a severe risk of repeating the mistakes of the 1960s.
So this is when they remodelled the Birmingham Bullring in like the 80s, 90s, the 90s. They remodelled the Bullring, and this was a debate that they had about it.
When the Bullring Centre was built, of building a big inflexible shopping centre which is all shopping and not much else, which disadvantages the people who use the markets and the cheap shopping that's there in the Bullring at the moment, that has not a great deal of space for pedestrian routes.
Got it, yeah.
And is still dominated by the motor car, as the Bullring.
You like it so much?
Well, first of all, it's not disadvantaging the traditional shop of the Bullring. We're not taking away the traditional shopping of the Bullring. The best of it is the markets. We're keeping the markets, we're making them better. The
Right.
good bits are the
I
local
see.
shops that
This
bring
gets good.
people in, make the Bullring famous. We're keeping that. What we're getting rid of is this rubbish that they call architecture, this grey concrete mess. That's going.
But
The new buildings are coming, but the Bullring, the character is staying.
Now, what's
Right.
upset people an awful lot, in particular the traders, Frank Ellis, you are a market
Frank.
trader.
I am
The
a
fact
market
that
trader.
the
And
market
I
is gonna be
challenge
smaller.
Jeff Meyer to what he just said.
I challenge Jeff Meyer to what he just said. Frank's about to get going.
Traders,
I
the
am a
fact
market
that
trader.
the
And
market is gonna be
I challenge Jeff Meyer to what he just said. You are not. You all keep saying to us, we are catering for the market trader. You know you're not. You know that there's going to be no market stalls in the bullring where it is today.
You know you're not. You know you're not. There's going to be no market stalls in the bullring. Look, he can't help it. He's going to get out of his chair. Look.
Alice, you are a market. Now, what's upset people an awful lot, in particular the traders, Frank Ellis,
The traders.
you are a market
Frank, you are a market trader.
The market
I challenge you.
To what he just said.
They were having a nice conversation. Bear in mind, they weren't. They having a chat about it. But here he goes. Bear in mind, this guy's actually he knows Frank. He knows Frank. This is not his first rodeo.
Not. You all keep saying to us, we are catering for the market trader. You know you're not. You know that there's going to be no market stalls in the bullring where it is today. You tell me.
I mean, I like Frank. I'm on the side of the market trader. But the way he goes about the debate makes me chuckle and laugh. I mean, he gets the audience on his side, I suppose. I like Frank. I like Frank. He gets eggy.
We are catering for the market trader. You know you're not. You know that there's going to be no market stalls in the bullring where it is today. You tell me.
He's going to get up.
You tell me. We've been to all your public consultation meetings where, you can't speak, you're a market trader. You can speak because you're going to say how nice the icing looks on the cake, and that's all it is, icing on your cake. Because when you get down to it, that's what it will look like. A load of rubbish. And I tell you what, you've opened this up. This is a party.
He's up. He's fucking with it. A load of rubbish. That's what you're going to do. A load of rubbish. He's up and he's messing. They've set up the model of what it's going to look like on it. Frank's up now. He's had enough. He can't stand it anymore. He's got out of his chair and he's fucking with the film set. He's messing with it.
And I tell you what, you've opened this up. This
Look
is
at
the
him.
part you've opened up. Here, there you are. We've given you a nice half-a-mile walk to your markets because that's where you are now. Before the war, pre-war, the markets was here, all the way down the road. Slowly but surely, they shove it out. When they want more of the city centre, they take it off you, the market trader. And not the market trader, the citizens of Birmingham. 57% of you people are market shoppers. Right? Those are the people they don't want in. Right?
Those are the people they don't want in. Frank, incensed. Incensed. But this is his livelihood. That's the markets. They moved the markets when they did the boring. Actually, these days, the markets are very close in where the boring is. Very close in. They've got the covered markets still. They've got I think it's St. Michael's markets, is it? I don't know. They've got the covered markets. Still quite close. St. Nicholas Church, is it? Anyway, it's still quite close in. It looks lovely. And you've got a lot of modern shops, I'll give you that. And within that modern shops and all that, you still have smaller stores and spaces. Personally, I think there should be more subsidised markets in our country. I think more towns existed as market towns. And I think the best way to get money into the pockets of the people is to actually say, look, if you want to do a market stall in our town, we're going to have a permanent market, 9 to 5, day in, day out, market space. And we're going to pay for you to come and do your stall. You can come and do that. You can sign your thing, sign up to it. You can have your market stall. If you're making money and it's going well, then you might end up buying a shop in town or, becoming a more permanent resident of the town, having a successful business. And if it's not, and after a certain amount of time, maybe we can bin you off and get somebody else in and people can have a chance to start their businesses. Subsidise the markets. Let's make covered market spaces for small businesses to get off the ground, small ideas, and traders like this, like their livelihood, the markets day in, day out, they might end up, taking over a shop, like I said, and having a grocer's store or something, interesting idea. But yeah, he's very cross about the bullring and what was going on.
More of the city centre, they take it off you, the market trader, and not the market trader, the citizens of Birmingham.
He's off his chair.
57% of you people are market shoppers, right? Those are the people they don't want.
But I agree with him. Those are the people they don't want in. I think what he's saying is they don't want people shopping at the markets. They want them with the big posh superstores, don't they? So they want the markets gone because the markets offer value and choice. Oh, we don't want that. It's a bit of both. It's a bit of both.
Your point, Jeff?
People drifting off now. That's fine. We'll do this and then we'll knock it on the head.
Over and over and over
this is funny though.
To that.
How does he reply? How does he reply?
You made your point, Jeff. How do you reply to that?
I think Frank made his point. He's made it over and over and over again. He is making his point.
You know we are listening. All these people out here have as well.
Right.
Now, let the man answer because there's a lot of you and there's only one of him. Go on.
He's made a lot of noise. Made a
Well,
lot
you
of
can't
noise,
help
and
it.
Nobody has shut him up. He's been there every night, every meeting, saying the same
It's
thing.
raining
He's
again.
been saying
I
that
couldn't
we're
be
doing away with the
happier.
markets. We're not doing away with the markets. We're not doing away with the
You
markets.
tell me, can you...
please.
No, you keep saying to
Your
us, when
turn.
we questioned you at your public consultation meetings, is all as you can keep saying is, we're providing the space. You're providing a load of market space with no market traders there, because you're telling us that you can stick all the markets where now there are only 2 markets, on the road, the other side of Edgbaston Street.
Right.
The other side of Edgbaston Street. He's brilliant, isn't he? Thank you for the tippies. Thank you for the tippies, Alison Miles. Keep smiling. Yeah, that's the plan, isn't it? Let's keep smiling. That's the plan. There's a lot of interesting stuff on the internet. I'll tell you what as well, from what we've been talking about today, all these different, there's a lot of like drama, debate, like angles, sharp angles. Like I'm coming with the soft edges.
By that, Jeff. The developer is going to hand over to the city a new building worth 35
Take away from
million.
the city. Take away the city from the city.
No.
It's fine.
Take away the city from the city. He's not having it, is he? This guy's he's on the telly, of all places, getting shouted at by Frank.
People.
Frank, you must let him finish at least a sentence.
Frank wants to knock him out.
Ready? The developer is handing over to the city a new building worth £35 million that is for the markets. It's creating exactly the same space that they have at the moment, and there's an absolute legal commitment
Who's
for the
paying for
developer.
it?
There's a
Who's paying for it?
The developer.
Go away.
The
That's
developer's
what we're
paying
not
for
told
it.
by the city then.
Frank, there are other market traders, I know.
Go away.
I'm going to.
That's them.
That's them.
Yeah, go on.
For 3 years. Go away.
The
That's
developer's
what we're
paying
not
for
told by the city then.
Frank, there are other market traders I know in our audience.
Well,
Let's hear
that's
from
them.
some. I'm going
That's
to.
them.
I'm going to.
That's them.
That's them.
Yeah, go on.
That's them.
3 years, we as a market traders, under the banner of the Preservation of the Bullring Committee, have negotiated with the developers LET. From day one, we professionally put forward plans, not in opposition to a development, but in opposition to what they wanted to do. And we put a plan forward that would make the city look wonderful, the city centre.
Let me say something which perhaps Jeff isn't.
That didn't
able
get a
to say,
round
and
of
I'll
applause,
take
did it?
my hands and say this. I was down there today, and it's very shabby down there.
Ooh, she's fucking one, isn't she? She's fucking one, isn't she? They wear these chain on the telly. I noticed when you become prime minister, if you're a lady, you get a big chain of a necklace, big chains. She's very nicely dressed, got the big blow dry. Very shabby down there in the markets in Birmingham. Bear in mind, love, your audience is made up mainly of market traders from Birmingham. So, you're getting on their eggy side.
I was down there today, and it's very shabby down there.
Very shabby. Fuck you, you fucking stupid. What you saying?
Let him answer it.
I've got to pull you up on that.
Let him answer it.
I'm going to pull you up on that.
A street market is what the bullring is, a street market. It's no fancy...
Oh, we've been cut off there. This is recorded on VHS. Get him back.
Put there before the bloody buildings.
Andy Foster, are you going to be...
When they come back, he's just still on his rant like the bloody buildings.
Developers put there before the bloody buildings.
Andy Foster, are you going to be voting in favour of this? You can see there's a lot of heat, a lot of people upset.
Well, I'm very sceptical about it.
Oh, the councillor. You know what this show is? He doesn't do any more talking on this bit now. This show is just the Frank show, though, really, isn't it? Good old Frank. He got out, at one point, he got out of his chair and he fucking moved this thing.
You tell me, we've been to all your public consultation meetings where, you can't speak, you're a market trader. You can speak because you're going to say how nice the icing looks on the cake, and that's all it is, icing on your cake. Because when you get down to it, that's what it will look like, a load of rubbish. And I tell you what, you've opened this up, this is the part you've opened up. There you are, we've given you a nice half-a-mile walk to your markets, because that's where you are now. Before the war, pre-war, the markets was here.
The woman who doesn't stop him either. Like, she's running the show. At no point does she say, Frank, could you sit down? Like, the guests are not supposed to mess with the set. I love that. Sorry, I'm ignoring what you're saying. Yeah, I was just watching my favourite bit of funny. Sorry, I was ignoring what you were saying. Sorry. Sorry, Donna. What are you saying? Neither Chuffer is not shabby. No, it's not a shabby place. Birmingham's nice. Yeah, I'm paying attention now. Birmingham's nice. It does look nice now, though. They did a reasonable job on it. Like, it's not awful. Frank was quite cross and agitated. I'm sure. I don't know how it worked out for Frank in the long run, but I'm sure there's still the presence in Birmingham's Bullring, the market. It's still pretty nice. It's worked out quite nice. Look, like they've got this big. We used to go down here with my nan, the rag market. Like, it's a big building, like it's all stuff in there. It's a market, and outside the front here's the market as well. Like, it's still there. It's not in the main centre bit because that's where all the shops are now. But this was always there, the rag market. Like, was it always there, or does the rag market somewhere else and they moved it here? Where you're taking the picture, where you're looking from, like where I'm stood taking this photo. I'm not taking the photo, but this photo from. If you go to your left, there's a load of fabric shops. Like, you can buy reams of fabric, and then you've got the rag market here, and then you go up to the right and over there, and you walk up into the actual Birmingham shops and stuff like that. So look, the market is all here, and the covered market that's still going. We used to go to this place called International Stock. I wonder if that's still there. I had no. This is funny to me now. International Stock. Let me see if it's still there. International Stock. No, Birmingham. Like, now it seems weird, but when I was a kid, this was fine, right? Because you don't have any concept. It's just what it is International Stock, right? This was before Poundland. This was way back. This was in the 80s, before Poundland. International Stock. Why pay shop prices when you can buy at factory prices? Why pay shop prices when you can buy at factory prices? And inside International Stock, right, what they've got is there's not going to be many pictures of it, is there? It's not. It's in King's Heath in Birmingham. So I used to think it was like I was only a little kid. I thought it was a big shop. Ergo, it's a big shop. Like, you've probably got them all over the show. Like International Stock, like IKEA or something. Yeah, International Stock. But what it was you go in and they've got, like, a bit like in Aldi in the middle section. They've got like a great big vat of like old radios, and then there might be another one of, like, there was an electronics section, there was a furniture section, there were baskets and baskets of, like, stuff, just random stuff though. Like, it wasn't like, we used to go up and down with my mum and she'd pick bits, like my nan used to get wool from there and knitting needles and stuff, wool and knitting needles, and like occasionally you'd see something that was interesting. Like, as a kid, not so much interesting stuff for me. I guess it's hardware, I guess it's like bits and pieces, I don't know. Like, it was just like full of stuff, and the electronics room had like video recorders and cassettes and like stuff like that, like, you know, all piled up. Like the back of Delboy and Rodney's van, like, you know, it was like just piled up. They'd get something off the back of a van or out the back of a warehouse or something. They'd pile it up and then they'd sell it on. International Stock. There'd be clothing in there. Sometimes you'd have to root through the baskets and get your stuff. Did you used to go there, Lottie? International Stock. Do you know what I'm talking about? When I was a kid, my mum used to take us to International Stock, and like, as a kid, I would ask to go there. Like, I would like to spend another hour. Like, all the different things in all these baskets, you rummage. You know, you rummage. You have a good rummage. I will concede that the Bullring now has lost some of its colloquial charm. I mean, this giant Selfridges, like, you know, it's architecture, don't get me wrong, you know, it's quite iconic in a way, but like, what is it? You know, when you say in Birmingham, you know, by the Selfridges, you know where people mean now. Absolutely, you know what they mean. But like, what is it? It's like a nebulous sort of thing with an eye and some stuff coming out. There's a tunnel. Like, inside it's nice shops, but from outside it's like, what? And the church is behind it, just over. You can't really see on the way I've got the picture. Oh, how annoying. How do I make this change? I can do this. It's not changing the way I want it to. There, like that. At the back end, you can see the church just behind it. So you need to think when you're creating architecture about the views to the things beyond it. And the church is quite an important part, so you need to create views to the church as well, I would have thought. But no, that's there now. Enjoy it. It's yours, Birmingham. I mean, it is quite an interesting modern thing. Like, there's lots of positives. And the interior of the bull ring, like, obviously, is a shopping centre, so it just looks like a shopping centre. And then when you're there where the actual bull statue is, there's all shops everywhere. So it's a shopping centre. And the church is still there. See how it's lit up here, and then over there on the left is this shopping area. So the church is still there, and they've opened out the area in front of the church, so it's a bit more like a plaza in front of the church, which is nice. It's kind of cool. My mom got married at that church, so it's modern and it's different, and it's like, it turned out nice in the end. So that market man who's angry, if you want to go to his market store, it's just there on the other side of the church. It's just down there. It's still there. It's just they've got all these competing big shops. So I suppose he was angry about the big shops, really, wasn't he? How things change. I thought international stock was where it was at. No, it's that. It's nice on the inside. And once you park, like where you're stood here taking this photo, is like the car park. And then you walk across this platform, and then you're in the shops. So it's just like wall-to-wall, floor-to-floor shops, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like the biggest shop you've ever been in. Outside of like London or wherever. It's like the biggest shop you've ever been in. I don't go there a lot. Downstairs, they've got like Jelly Belly and like stuff going on, and it's like a, you know, giant shop. It's one of those where you can get lost while you're in the shop, and then you get detached from the people you're with, and then you're like, shit, I've got detached from the people I'm with, and there's no way of like finding my way back to anywhere. I don't know where I am. I'm just in a shop, an endless shop. It's just a big shop. I don't know who designed it actually. Don't know. But international stock, you don't need, you've got shiny letters, and that's all you need. Really, as far as I was concerned. Don't get me wrong, it's iconic architecture. It's the sort of thing that, you know, you want a bit of a snazzy building going on these days, don't you? Modern cities. They did it with the library as well. Look what they did with the library. Oh, tiny image. Can we have a big one, please? Tools, size, large. Like when you see it, when you're in town, it just, you don't see, all you see is like a wodge. Like I don't know how to explain it really. Like it's confusing to the eye. It's big square shapes with rounds on it. Welcome to the millennium. You know, what we're going to do about that, I don't know. It just is what it is, isn't it, I suppose? I don't know who submitted those plans and got them ticked off, but it makes me feel like I'm closer or further away than I am. I don't know. When you're inside, it's just like the library, but when you're on the outside, it's like, what's going on? So, welcome to the millennium. Have you had enough? I think you've had enough. I think you have. I have. It's 6 o'clock. I was going to get off earlier than this. So I'm going to have an hour and hour break before I'm going to go and play Genshin Impact. And I hope you're all going to have a lovely Sunday. Maybe watch something on the internet. If you want to carry on watching things on the internet, I can. There's a little channel I know, isn't there? There's a little channel I know. And if there's someone you wanted to give a little call to or like send a little message to, maybe send them a little message. Oh, have you thought about watching this video? It's someone that, you know, got the same sort of sense of humour as you. Send them one of these videos, have a little chat to them. You know, that might be nice for you to do with the remaining time in Sunday. Like, get off the internet and phone someone up. Probably, I'll tell you what, you've been watching this for a while. Maybe just pop your head out the window, even if you don't go for the full walk. You know, just change your view, get your head a bit of a change maybe. Take the air and say thanks and hello to each other in chat, because we're about to go soon. So say thank you very much to each other in chat. Thank you. I'll say thank you to everyone in chat. I'll say thank you to you. Thank you. And everyone that tippied and dropped the super chats and the tippies, thank you. Thank you. It's been the Sunday service. We might do it every Sunday. I didn't want to let it go on this long. That's on me. That's my fault. I'll take the hit on that. But if you do want to watch more stuff, then you've got, remember, there's the main channel here, And on the B side, there's Battery Exhausted, where I've been doing a couple of lives covering that CCTV. So you can have a good look at that and get your comments on the CCTV in that video so that I can register them. And then when we do more videos about the CCTV, we can look at it even more. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier.
Just time to get some tippies in. Just a little quick bit of time to get some tippies in. Lucia Thomas bought me a coffee. Thank you for the live last night and Sunday service today. I hope the cat's okay. He's not. He's on his way out. But, you know, we're going to do our best for him. Thank you. Thank you for the £12. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Going to try and make him comfortable. That's the main thing. Keep him comfortable. And then when it gets when it's unbearable, it's the time. Let's not go over that again now. I go over it in my head because it's something I'm going over as an anxiety. But really, let's chill. Let's relax. We've had a good Sunday together. It's been nice. I appreciate you being here with me. It means a lot. And yeah, onwards. We've got more days to come. So it's nice to be recharged and refueled for whatever comes this week ahead. Yeah. You be good, my little puckos. You be good. If you can't be good, then you're